Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody's ready to go.
Oh, I guess we're live then.
Cool.
We are.
By the way, we better come back to those convos that we were having before in regards to Ben Stiller. I was going to say top producer. We'll just call him producer Tom.
Yeah.
Top producer, that's asking for a bit much.
I guess so, yeah. That's
Okay.
fair.
Sucks to be Tom some days, doesn't
Sometimes.
it? I mean,
Yeah.
Come
really.
on, it's a great life,
Yeah.
okay?
Zoom in on his crotch. Shut his reputation down. That's all you have to do, right there.
Well, here's an opening. hence the leg up.
Legs are crossed on the
right.
podcast.
Oh, it's such a good joke, but it's just so inappropriate, so I'm not going to do it right
No,
now.
you shouldn't.
If we were
Save
out
that for
dinner,
tonight.
If we were out of the fire pit, I would.
If we
I would
were
definitely
surrounded by small children.
do it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
different.
Yeah, no holds barred.
Guys just going for my jokes right now.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
Anyway, I am joined here today, producer Tom, as I said. Remind us to come back. We had the Stiller story we were talking about. What
Yeah.
was the other thing we were
Steve
talking
Martin.
about?
Steve
the
Martin.
Martin story.
Yeah.
The Steve Martin of our industry is here with us.
It's gray hair. That's
You
all
know,
it is.
Dan, you want to say hi to everybody?
Hi, everybody.
Well, there we go.
It is.
We can cut that, right? I don't want to scare you. God, that's how we're gonna.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, at least give them a warning to turn their volume down for a second.
No
Jeez.
warning.
And Max, you're new to our people.
I'm new to people. Yeah. This is my
You're new
first
to people
time
in general.
It's his
being
first
around
day on
people.
Earth.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We just unfroze him.
Yeah.
Welcome,
yeah.
Max.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank
Welcome
you.
to people.
It's very nice being here.
Max, you want to tell people who you are, how you stumbled across today's podcast?
Sure. Yeah. My name is Max Fitzgerald.
He's like, wait, where do I look?
Yeah. Where do I look? Which one is my camera?
You are that one. Sorry.
Honestly, if
Yes.
you're wanting anything, just talk to us.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Here
I
we
saw
go.
you searching for a camera. You're like, which one do I look at right
Yeah.
now? Tom will take care of that.
All right.
If
Tom's got
He's
it.
top producer, Tom. Otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, my name is Max Fitzgerald. Been in the real estate industry for basically my entire professional career. I wear many hats and good friends with Dan here. And
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah,
Allegedly.
that's right. And through Dan, I get to know the great Jared James.
We've gotten to know
right?
each other the last couple of days.
That's right.
Yeah, we did. You met my kids.
Met your dog.
Met my dog.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's who I was referring to when
Okay.
I said my kids. No, you met my kids. You met my dog. We did a little fire pit.
Yeah, it's been great.
Perfect weather.
Yeah.
We
Good
worked.
times.
We worked out at the bar, which not worked at the bar, although you guys did do that. But
did
like,
ballet at the bar?
No, we did. I've got a bar in my backyard with a TV and whatever, and we worked out there.
Yeah.
Perfect. Just perfect weather.
Yeah.
For it.
It's been beautiful.
Yeah, so been really good getting to know you, and we'll talk about all of that today and whatever. We even did the gym together.
We did do the gym. I'm
yeah.
a little sore. I had to tap out this morning, as
did
both of
skip-
you
did
know.
skip today.
Yeah, I did.
I wasn't gonna bring it up publicly.
I'm so sorry.
But
Well,
you
I
did.
mean, I'm not sorry, but
Okay, Matt,
it's a
talk to
true
us here.
fact.
He can sit comfortably and cross his legs. That's
okay.
I can, yeah, both
mean-
legs.
Are you actually hurting today?
I am.
You are.
I
Okay,
am.
What part hurts?
You know, Jared, it's kind of everything, right? I'm not gonna lie.
the body.
Yeah.
The body hurts.
The body
whole
hurts.
body
One
hurts.
thing at a time. So right now you think it's here. Tomorrow it'll be down here.
As your audience knows, Jared, you've got big muscles. You know,
I do
you're
not have big muscles.
Well, you
That's
know.
not true.
So Jared really put me through the ringer yesterday.
Yeah.
And we sat in the sauna for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Which was 20 minutes longer than I normally do.
That was funny. So we do this workout, and like, so I just got back into town, right? Like I'm jet setting all over the place, whatever. And so like, there's something about coming back to your gym, where you're just like, all right, I cleared my schedule because I knew you guys were coming in. So you're not at the gym rushing, because usually when you're at the gym, you're like, I gotta get out by this time. I gotta go do whatever. And so it was kind of like, hey, we can do full workout, do whatever. And you just seem so like easy. You're like, yeah, let's do it. And I was
Let's
trying to
go.
be nice, and I'm going, hey, I'm gonna go do this. Are you good? Yeah. Okay. Hey, I'm gonna do it. You good? Yeah. Hey, cool. I'll do it. And then I saw you at one point, especially when we got to the last one, we do the 6 sets of pull-ups.
Oh yeah.
And the whatever.
Yeah.
So I struggled. I'm like, dude, you don't have to do, like, this is gonna hurt tomorrow if you really.
It does,
you
and
know?
it really does. You warned me, but I did not,
Yeah.
listen
But
to your
you were a
advice.
trooper, man. You were, but
try
I
to
knew
be.
you.
See, that's a totally different experience than I had
today.
a year ago.
Oh, okay.
So a year ago, Jared invited me up. We
Was
did
that
the
already
whole
a year ago?
podcast. That's a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a year.
Look at him.
Tom.
Look at him.
Time
I mean,
flies.
that's
Dan
nuts.
Dan
And
looks like he lost a Dan.
I
He
lost.
really does,
I
actually.
lost 52 pounds.
Good.
since
Wow.
then.
52.
Yeah, 52 pounds. And here's the story behind the story. I think is so freaking cool.
52 pounds, man. That's amazing.
52 pounds is no
Yeah, that's
joke,
awesome.
man. It's no joke. But like a lot of people, you know, you get to a certain point in life and you go, man, I used to be athletic. I used to do stuff. And you're busy with kids and businesses. And it's like you always have this excuse, right? And then you try to dunk your toe back in and you don't.
Yeah.
And so Jared says to me, hey, when you come up, bring your gym clothes. We're going to work out every day you're here. And I'm like, no, I don't have gym clothes. Like, what am I going to do?
Of course, he's like, sure.
Right? I wasn't. I was like, really? He goes, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, really? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, I'm not doing that. That's what I said to myself. And then the night before, I'm like, I got to find some gym clothes because Jared just, we're going to be at the gym. I don't want to be in jeans. I better find some clothes.
God, don't be the guy who shows up in jeans.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
That must be as bad as the guy taking phone calls in the sauna.
Like here's the nugget. Here's the nugget, right? He made it easy for me as a guy who was 100% sedentary at that point in my life.
Oh, I see.
He didn't wreck me, right?
It is true.
But he did say, hey, the goal here is about building consistency. You got to make fitness a habit. It's got to become part of your lifestyle. And I was like, oh, yeah, that doesn't work for me, JJ. Like lifestyle, because lifestyle is temporary, right?
Sure.
You buy a boat, you're a boater. You sell your boat, you're not a boater anymore.
No, it's very true.
In my mind, lifestyle is for now. And he's like, well, you got to make it part of your identity. I don't know if you even know this.
Yeah.
Like a small little pivot sometimes in our brains is all it takes
100.
to make a big change.
Yeah.
So I went home with the momentum of having worked out with you for 2 days.
Yeah.
And I joined a gym.
Yeah.
And my wife and kids were like, what are you doing? Really? I'm like, yeah, I joined a gym and I'm actually going to go. And so for the first maybe 30, 60, 90 days, it wasn't about what I got done when I got there. It was that I got there.
Sure.
Right? It was that I got there.
Just get there.
And I don't have any go win a fitness contest ambition, but my resting heart rate now is in the 60s. That was never the case before. Like I've extended my life by I don't know how long over the past year.
Man.
And that wouldn't
I did
have
not know
happened.
that. That's
It wouldn't
awesome,
have
Dan.
happened.
That's
Yeah,
really
that
cool.
story, man.
No.
That's like I was looking at him today. So today, today's supposed to be a running day.
Yeah.
So today I went in just kind of like whatever he was doing, I'd mess around. My son was there, I'd mess around, but it was kind of like a rest day. I'm like, all right, because I wasn't doing my normal. I don't usually do.
Because you were wrecked from yesterday working out with
Couldn't
Max.
move.
Yep, that's
I
it.
mean,
I put him through the ringer.
As it is,
Yeah,
I'm
right.
hopped up on Advil. It's but it's funny because you're correct. I knew you were coming in like that. Now you probably didn't help yourself because you were telling me about all sorts of yoga you do and all this other kind of stuff. And so I was like, well then let's go.
Yeah.
And then I realized once we started doing some of the stuff, I'm like, oh, I think yoga is different than which makes sense. you know?
Yeah.
I'll do that, and then if I go play basketball with one of my sons, I'm out for 2 days.
Right.
It's just different.
I've thought about this. I'm
different
sorry to
muscles.
interrupt you, but
No.
I've thought about this a lot because I have people in my life who were me a year plus ago, not doing anything. People I care about, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, you're coming to town. Bring your gym clothes.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, hey, I try to work that conversation in because for me it was such an aha moment.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. Our mutual friend, Scotty Scott McDonald, Remax Gateway, right? Chantilly, Virginia, awesome guy. He's a little older than I am, and he works out all the time.
Yeah.
I've had a ton of fun playing golf with him. First couple times I went to visit his brokerage, he's like, hey, I'm going to go to the gym. You want to go? And I was like, nope. And this last time I was up there, I was like, hell yeah, I want to go to the gym. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And I had
'Cause
an
it's who you are.
absolute blast. It's just, it's a small little change. But to now be in my mid-50s and know that I'm stronger than I've been since I was in my 20s.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like, that is
all
just
the excuses
bizarre.
you
That
make,
is so
all
cool.
the things you do, and it's like, well, I have this. Or, like, it's always funny to me. And by the way, there are people who have legit, like, there's things that have happened, there's surgeries. I get it. That's not what we're saying, okay? But like, you get a lot of people who will talk about, oh no, but I have bad knees, I have this, I have that. And it's like, no, you have them because of that.
Right.
You hear about all these people who lose all this weight. They get in, fitness becomes something that is a priority for them.
Right.
And they turn into these different people. They lose 52 pounds, and guess what happens to their knees? Guess what
they
happens
don't hurt
to their,
anymore.
It's like, oh my God. Like, I'm like, it's because you were carrying all of that extra weight and extra, and it's just,
Well, I think the hardest thing for people, whether it's working out, whether it's business related, I mean, anything that you're doing in life is really getting started.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's to your point, Dan, it's the first step is showing up, and that's a big win in your book, and it's, you know, it's a significant milestone that really does start the, you know, the positive momentum of you eventually losing a lot of weight.
Life is a journey.
Right.
Life is a journey, and I've opened up publicly, like I have a weird past, right? I wasn't raised in a great environment. I've endured some abuse as a kid.
Right.
And that sort of stuff isn't easy to like just shake off.
Right.
You know, it's not. And so looking back now, I can go, part of my journey, part of this fitness thing over the past year, it's a way that I can proactively love myself.
Yeah.
Which is something that abused kids don't learn to do. They're not taught to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
They're taught that they don't deserve to be taken care of.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, to me, it's incredibly exciting. It's an incredible gift that if we're open to it, there's always something we can learn. And it like reinforces my core beliefs, right? So I'm going to go on this just for a minute here. We'll get back to talking about Steve Martin and whoever else, right?
Wherever it goes, man.
But if you think about
I feel like
it,
we're talking Tuesday.
I mean, I want to know, do you guys agree? Is every single thing you want to achieve in business more easily achieved through relationships?
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, duh,
course, yeah.
right?
Totally.
Duh. So, like, here's an example where I didn't know that the gift of this healthier me was just a year away, right? I didn't know that. But without my relationship with Jared, I wouldn't have discovered it.
Right.
Like, whatever it is we want to get done in our lives, we're probably already connected to the people who can help us do it.
Yeah.
It's just right there. We just don't see it all the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, part of like our friendship, our
Right.
business relationship.
Yeah.
So, you introduced yourself to everybody a while ago, and you're such a humble guy. Like, I'm going to brag on Max here for a little bit, right? So, Max is a broker owner. He owns a brokerage called Kraft & Bauer in Los Angeles. They have agents in SoCal, in NorCal, and also in Arizona, right? And he's a tech entrepreneur. So, you know, the way we met is he signed up for my company, Happy Grasshopper. And as we're getting to know each other, I'm learning more about him. And I'm like, this is one of the coolest people I've ever met. And so here we are, a year and a half later? And you know, we're embarking on this whole different journey together.
Yeah.
It's super, super cool.
Yeah, it's cool how life just works out. You know, you meet people, come into your life, I think, for specific reasons, and people leave your life for also specific reasons. Like we were talking about it before Dan got into town. It's just I think as you mature as a person, as you get older, as your time becomes more limited, right? You really have to audit your friend circle and your, you know, who you keep around you.
Yeah, it gets smaller and smaller.
It gets
Weren't
smaller
we just
and
talking
smaller.
about that?
We
were
were.
sitting around the fire pit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look, man, I'm friendly with a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm friends with very few.
You know,
It's just the truth.
Yeah.
my
Right.
best friend from high school, Rob Tudor, you met him.
Yeah.
Because he came to D.C.
I remember.
years ago.
I remember,
right?
yeah.
He's coming to visit me in June.
Wow.
And like, what a gift that is. The
Yeah.
older you get, the more precious those things are. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I treasure that friendship. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's worth as much as money in the. It's worth more than money in the bank.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, 100. Okay, so I have two places to go with this because I actually want to go into this relationship. But before I do that, let's land the plane on the fitness thing, because I think that's something where, you know,
Our audience, you know, whatever, it's just like everybody, this is something everybody struggles with. This is something everybody thinks about. This is something that people act like they don't care about because it makes them feel better. You know, it's just like, because it's a protective thing. Like, you know, I just don't care. Like, I'm fine. I'm, you know, whatever. And so it's so cool to see that story. What role do you think the public accountability took in that? You know, from the perspective of, I've heard you say it on the stage. I've heard you like mentioning it to people. Now you're on here saying it.
Yeah.
So like, if, you know, 6 months from now, you know, you look like the girl from Willy Wonka. You know, Miss Blueberry.
Again.
Yeah.
Right,
You know what I mean? Like, there's
Yeah.
this. What role do you think that?
Yeah,
whole,
so that can't happen. That cannot happen. I'm not concerned about that at all, because the
blowing
shift,
up, not the public
the
accountability.
the blowing up part, right? And
Yeah.
it can't, because like identity is who you are. That's indelible.
That's right.
Right? It's not going to change.
Yeah.
And all I had to do was pick it up from, I guess it's a lifestyle, to really making it part of who I am.
That's it, man.
And it didn't take any work to maintain. Like, I don't have to do any extra effort not to rob a bank today.
How
Like,
about brushing your teeth?
you know, easy. Like, it's
not an
just stuff
option.
you do.
Right.
You don't
Not an
even think
option.
about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It has to be done. You just do it. And likewise, you don't spend any exercise, any energy trying not to do the things that aren't part of who you are.
Yeah.
Like the bank robbing example, right?
Yeah.
I'm not ever going to do that.
Right.
Like, I don't ever need to try not to do it.
Yeah.
It's effortless
Yeah.
not to do that.
Yeah.
And for me, that's what going to the gym is now.
Yeah.
It's effortless for
It's
me to
almost weird
show
not
up.
to. It's almost weird.
Because it's
almost,
just like,
yeah.
exactly.
And that was, by the way, that was the thing last year that I had said to you. We were talking about it. And I literally just said to you, I'm like, Dan, it's not like something that you were like, well, how do you stay with whatever? And I'm literally looking at you confused. Like, the question is flawed. And I'm like, Dan, it's who I am. Like, what do you mean? It's not a matter of how do I stay motivated to brush my teeth every day?
Yeah.
You know, how do I get in that shower one more time? Didn't I just do this a day ago?
Right.
Oh my god.
Well, for the fitness
you
thing,
know?
going back to you for one more second, did it change from you were externally motivated by something to then you were internally motivated by something, or is it now?
The problem was there was no external motivation. It had to be internal. Like no one in my life was going, "Oh, come on,
Yeah.
you know, Dan, what are you doing?"
Right.
Right. That there was no external pressure. I was loved. I was successful. I didn't have any sort of, oh my God, they're not going to cast me if I don't
By the
look
way,
a certain way.
people
you
have
know?
gotten used to that version of you. That was the you they knew.
That was just
So honestly, to do the opposite would have been weird. It's like, this is who you are.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? 52 pounds overweight is this is what we know.
Right.
Right.
You
That's
know, and
just
hey, you're
how
in
you
your,
are.
you know, whatever you're at age-wise, 70.
I'm 34, Jared.
Okay.
34.
You know, like, but I mean, like, at a certain point, people make these excuses in certain age groups.
Right.
Yeah.
And they go, well, you know, it's just I'm not 20 anymore.
Yeah. Right.
You know? And it's like, yeah, you're right. At 20, you could eat and binge drink and do and da-da-da, whatever, and you'd be just fine. No, you're not 20.
Right.
But you're also not doing what it takes to be a healthy person. You know, like that doesn't add up, right? And so you do become who it is that like everybody thinks that's you, and that's really not you. That's the you you've showed them. That's the you you've gotten them used to.
I think everybody has had the experience of, like, you sort of get cast
Yeah.
as a character. Like if you're the person at a restaurant and you didn't like your meal, something was wrong with it, and you asked for somebody to come over and you complain about the meal, you feel that person is casting you as this, like, oh, disgruntled Karen doesn't like his dinner. Okay, that guy, right? It's like that external thing where they see you a certain way and they just put you in that bucket, right?
Yeah.
Everybody who sells anything for a living knows what it's like to have people react and go, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. I'm
that,
being sold right now.
that
Right,
sort of thing, right?
right.
You get that. So when you do have a little breakthrough like that, the public accountability piece for me isn't about, oh, I better tell the whole world I'm doing this now.
Right.
Otherwise, I'll just go back to normal. It's more like, oh, I just discovered something. It's so freaking cool and easy.
Yeah.
It lifestyle to identity. That easy. Click.
Yeah.
Easy change. Huge monumental difference. Like, I want everybody to know about that.
And I've now experienced both of these ways that I feel about myself and how I look at myself. And this is available to every one of you, and you haven't unlocked it yet. And it's like figuring out that you have, you know, the jackpot. You've got the what's that popcorn called with the right toy in it, and you've got it to give to everyone. It's like, no, it's
Cracker
here, it's
Jack.
here. Yeah, exactly. It's just like you have this winning code, this, you know, whatever it is. I've been where you are. I know that you think it.
Yeah.
But there's this available, and so there's probably a bit of you in that's just kind of like, you know, you want to like get people to be able to experience that same thing. And look, it's not some ridiculous, you know, out of this, you know, earth crazy thing. Only some people can have it. Only whatever. It's just, you know, consistency's undefeated.
Yeah.
You're exactly where you're supposed to be based on what you're doing on a regular basis.
Right.
And you've gotten to a point where you think that's acceptable, and the people around you have made you feel that acceptable.
Right.
But it is less than your best.
Yeah.
It's you know, you don't get what's that old line that everybody lives two lives. Have you heard this before? Everybody lives two lives. And the second one begins when they realize that they only have one, you know? And so there's a life that you live your whole life that is just existing.
Yeah.
It is, you know, I'm born, what am I supposed to be doing? Who are my friends? Oh, this is a good job, let me pay my bills, let me do whatever. But your real life, your second life begins when you only get one.
Right.
When you realize you only get one.
Man, that's such a good microcosm for, you know, the industry that we're in, you know, primarily real estate, right? And we're all dealing with real estate agents in some form or fashion. And, you know, from a broker owner's perspective, I can tell you that the hardest thing that I try to really emphasize with my agents is just the consistency, right?
Yeah.
To your point, it's not just waking up and doing the bare minimum and going through your inbox and then but
checking
it's
the boxes and
checking
saying
the
you did what
boxes.
you're supposed to do. Yeah.
And we all see, the famous real estate professionals and who make a ton of money and who are uber successful.
Yeah.
But, it's like with any industry, you don't see the work that they've put in to get to that level that just exceeds, the average levels of success. And that's a really hard thing to do, especially if you're an independent contractor and you're kind of setting your own schedule and you don't really have a boss telling you what you can and can't do. So it's the internal motivation, it's the positive momentum of life, and real estate is such a good,
like you said, it's all the stuff you you don't see.
My question is the positive momentum. Sometimes you need to just get kicked in the dick, quite frankly, to decide you've got to go embrace that. Like some people need it to get so bad. Yeah. That they just get disgusted with it and they have to make a change.
Sick and tired of being sick and tired.
I don't have any money in the bank. Oh my God, I can't stand not being able to pay my bills. Or my real estate commissions are like this. There's moments where I feel like, oh my God, it's going to be great. It's awesome. And then boom, you crash into the pit of despair.
Yeah.
Those moments are, for me, the ones that make that kind of pivotal change, something people will reach for.
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
I literally just had this convo with my kids, and I was talking about how I kind of view parenting and the overview of it all. And look, everybody feels this way, and you should, whatever. But I got awesome kids. I really believe that. But one of the things that I believe with them is I'm teaching them to make decisions, which means bad decisions too. I'm not always going to save you. Yeah. Don't make a bad decision. Let's learn from it. Let's whatever. It was so interesting, when you said what you said, there's this thing I call the 1% rule, which so applies to what you said, because you were talking about there's this outward, everybody sees. They're the top producer. They're the whatever. And you don't realize all of the consistency, all of the stuff that's happening you never see. And so there's this thing that I call the 1% rule that I keep saying that I'm going to write about it in my next book, and I've been telling my publisher for the last 10 years I'm writing the next book. I'm on it. I haven't even started. But eventually I'm going to. But I'm going to write about this 1% rule. And the 1% rule is really simple, right? Most of the things that you are known for in this life, the things that you're known for, the things that you're branded to, the things that when people think of you, they think of that. Most of the times it's less than 1% of your actual life. If I walk through an event, I was just in an event. I was just in some country or somewhere, and I'm walking down the hall and I hear, there's Jared the speaker. There's Jared the speaker. Okay, I spend less than 1% of my life on a stage speaking. I'm more of a dad than I am a speaker. And nobody goes, there's Jared the dad. Mm-hmm. There's, right? Mm-hmm. For someone to be a top producer, for someone to be listed as a top producer, think about how much of their life is spent at a closing table, which is what makes you a top producer. Mm-hmm. It's those closings. It's less than 1% of what you do. But what makes people worthy of the 1% that you get known for is the 99 point whatever % of the rest of your time that nobody sees.
You're an iceberg.
Where you deserve. Exactly. Where you deserve the title of that 1%, right? All the boring, non-Instagram worthy, all of that stuff that happens, that's what makes you worthy of it. Yeah. So when I hear someone go, there's Jared the speaker, I used to have, you and I talked about this the other day, that whole imposter syndrome thing, right? Right. And and I used to have, I don't know if I'd call it that or not, but this whole thing of when people would be excited to hear you speak, or you'd be on a stage and when you're done, they're like, oh my God, they love it, whatever. I used to have this thing in me that would be like, oh my God, I don't know where that guy, I don't know what that is. I don't, whatever. And I used to have this whole, whatever. Or if people wanted to meet you, or people wanted, it was just like, oh, it's just me. It's just, whatever. And then you get to a point where you start to respect the other 99%. And when you start to focus on the other 99% that nobody sees, that makes you worthy of the 1%, you don't feel like that as much anymore. Right. Not that I am amazing or whatever, but I deserve this because I put in the work, just like you deserve it if you put in the work. Right. It's no different. Right. Right. And so you can't. I think the thing I said to you the other day was that I said that when you put yourself down too much in the name of this imposter syndrome, it's actually a slap in the face to God. Because the things that make us worthy of being looked at and wanted to be listed, whatever, are these gifts that we don't even, I could have been more mute. I have no control over that. Right. I have no... And so on one hand, there's this line of humility where you recognize how hard you have to work, you recognize what you have to put in, you recognize who you are, you stay connected to the people who keep you grounded, but you also don't disrespect any gift you've been given, because that's a smack in the face to God. It's like, no, I gave you that. Respect it.
Right.
If I gave my kids a gift and they disrespected it, didn't care about it, I just got my kid a car, and I had this whole conversation with him in the car, and I said, the way that you show appreciation is how you take care of the things you have. And so I said, I'm going to know, because he said to me in a moment, Dad, thank you so much. Oh my God, I can't even believe this right now. I said, that's an awesome moment.
Yeah.
But a month from now, do you know how I know if you actually appreciate this? I'm going to know by the way you take care of it.
You know, it's so interesting you say that, because when I was getting started in real estate, I worked for about a 9 or 10 month period as in a W-2 salesy sort of job, oddly enough, selling tech. But I was living at my parents' house. I was saving every single penny that I was earning, just, because I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do in life, but I knew that if I wanted to do something entrepreneurial, I needed a nice little nest egg.
That's interesting, the foresight of that, of like, just save.
Yeah, just save.
Come from a position of strength.
Yeah, and if I can go without a paycheck and find a position or an industry that I become attracted to, then that's gonna I don't have to have a financial burden. I don't have to have a paycheck.
God, I wish every young kid today had that mentality.
Man, but to your point about the kid and the car conversation, I was living at my parents' house, and they were doing, I have the best parents in the world. They were so supportive. They're like, hey Max, whatever you want to do, we're going to support you. We'll help pay for your car payment. They really helped me out financially. So when I got I met my former mentor in real estate. His name's Richard Haynes, runs an amazing brokerage, but he was a one-man show doing everything. He was a broker. He owned apartment buildings. He was raising money to build spec homes in LA. So when I met him, I was 21, 22, a pretty young kid, and he was 24, 25. So he was a few years older than I was.
Yeah.
An old man.
Savage. He's a veteran. Heavy veteran.
He was in real estate when he was in, 17 or 18. So he had 7 or 8 or 9 years, as a professional.
Like me, man. Grew up in it, yeah.
But, so I was working for him for free so long as he taught me the business. But I had so much respect for my mom and my dad of allowing me, the
chance to learn.
The chance to
what
learn.
A gift.
But you recognize that. Not this entitlement mentality where it's like, well, I'm your kid and you had this mentality of like, no, they're doing this for me. They don't have to do this.
No.
Like, you appreciate it.
And that was my, I would wake up at 5 a.m. I had to be in the office by 7. I didn't have my real estate license, so he legally couldn't pay me. So I went without a paycheck for the first 14 months of my real estate career, and I was commuting, 2.5 hours one way to the office.
2.5 hours.
Yeah, my
I was
parents
gonna
lived
say
in
snow, but you're in LA, so
Pasadena to Manhattan Beach is a very, very long commute.
Wow.
But you learn that, man, my parents just gave me that room to really find my passions in life.
And you recognize again, you weren't entitled. You were like, this is
totally
that's so amazing. I actually want to transition here because that is first off, nothing turns me off like entitlement, like nothing. Like if you're in my circle, I will give you the freaking world.
Yeah.
As soon as you expect it, I'm done. Like you, like my wife will tell you that. My kids will tell you that. What did my son say to me the other day? We're sitting around. And she goes, "Dad, did I thank you for dinner last night?"
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah,
he
did.
did. That was nice.
Yeah.
Did anybody catch that?
I did.
That's right.
Yeah, because
So-
they know the moment I feel like they are not whatever, dinners are done.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we're like literally, I will shut it off.
Yeah.
I thought that was so interesting, just out of the blue. Dad, did I thank you last night? Like I'm like, I kind of like that.
Yeah,
What were you gonna
that's
say,
great.
Dan? I'm gonna.
Yeah, we were at Sally's Pizza.
Yeah.
In New Haven, like possibly
New Haven
the
style
best
pizza, yeah, like
the
the-
best
yeah,
pizza
yeah.
on the planet, right? And we're just wolfing down pizza left and right,
Yeah,
man. It's
right after
cramming it in.
our weight loss,
And check
conversation.
comes and Jared's like doing the stealth, pay it quickly. He's not going to argue with us about that, right? And I hear his son say, "Dad, did I thank you for dinner last night?" I was like, "Wow." Check that out.
Yeah, that was a really
And
cool
I'm
moment.
going, I still have pizza in my mouth. I haven't thanked Jared for this food.
That's right.
What you didn't see was I brought him in the back and beat him thoroughly. for
Yes.
not.
right.
Yeah.
He reminded me that
Yeah.
he did not thank me. And I made sure that will never happen.
You know what, though? We got to talk about Grayson here for a moment.
Okay.
Because he's got, I don't know, maybe you've talked about this, but
Okay.
his window washing business.
I have not talked about it.
He's so entrepreneurial. He's got this drive. Last year, he's Mister, I'm
Making
going to
200-300 calls a
I'm going to be
day.
an ISA on Byron Lazine's team.
Yep.
Like crushing it, absolute work ethic.
Yep.
And there's a lesson here, I think, about parenthood that's important. A dad taught me this once. I didn't get this from my parents, but if you can feed your kids fascination, just trust it to go where it needs to go.
Yeah.
Like Grayson is so
That's-
entrepreneurial.
that's right.
And you've created an environment where it's safe for him to express that. Right?
Yeah,
totally.
He could have been a horrible ISA. Like what?
Yeah.
I mean, we know him. Not going to happen.
that
he
would have
was
been
great.
fine.
But it would have been fine. It would have been okay for him to do that and fail. It would be okay if he fails at the window washing thing
100.
before he comes off to Uncle Dan's house
There you go.
to go to University of Tampa.
There you go.
That's right.
By the way, do you know the conversation that happened between me and their mother was just, we come from completely different backgrounds. I'm extremely entrepreneurial. She's a teacher. Her dad was the president of the union for 50 years in the factory. Like, this is completely different mentalities, right? And credit to her because she does kind of trust me with this stuff. Like, she'll push back and fight a little bit, but like she knows I know what I'm doing, right? So she'll hold off and okay, I voiced what I said, but let's. And so Grayson comes to me and he is just, he's got, first off, this was not the first idea. He's brought me a million different things. And my whole thing is, let's try. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes I know they're not going to work.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that's part of the story.
You have to taste things in life.
What I can't do as his father is I can't rob either one of my kids from the stories they're going to tell later.
Yeah.
That look like right now they didn't work, but they actually become a huge piece of the puzzle they talk about later that fits into something else.
Yeah.
And taught them something they learned, and used somewhere else. And so my whole thing is let's try, let's go. So he starts talking about doing this window washing business. Dad, I've been watching all these videos. I've been doing, all this stuff, right? And I'm thinking, I might get some free windows here. He's gonna need to practice. You know?
Sure.
And he's showing me these videos. Dad, can I buy the kit? Can I do it? And I'm like, you're paying me back, whatever. But I'll invest in the kit. I'll do, fine. What's your plan? What's this? He tells me his thing. I'm gonna go knock on these doors. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna whatever. What's your pitch? Let me hear it. We fix the pitch a little bit. I'm like, that's not a good idea. I see where you're going, but you want to say this, you want to do this, you want to leverage this. We have this whole thing now, practice back. And we're talking and doing whatever. And we talk to his mom, and she's just like, I'd really rather he has a job with a guaranteed this and with a, and I have this whole conversation with her where I'm like, look, he's a different make and model. You got to understand. Mm-hmm. The Honda Accord drives a certain way. The Jeep Cherokee drives a certain way. You got to understand here. He's a different model. Like, you don't make him an Uber. Right. He's what do they call those big cars, the Hummers or whatever? Those aren't Uber cars. Like, this is not the smooth,
he
on
doesn't
road.
fit the mold.
Right. Yeah, this is not.
Yeah.
I know who he is. Trust me with this,
Yeah.
right? And what if it doesn't work? I'm like, great.
Totally.
There's no way it doesn't work. It works regardless, whether he makes a ton of money or whether there's all those quotes. There's no wins and losses, just wins and learns. Those are real.
Yeah.
Right. So there is no it doesn't work.
Totally.
There's a he doesn't try, and that's a problem. Let's try, right?
Yeah.
And so we have this whole conversation, and she's like, okay, So he goes, and he walks a neighborhood. Now remember, if he gets a job, he's going to make $16 an hour. They're going to take taxes out. They're going to do whatever, right? He walks a neighborhood, and in a half hour, books 4 jobs for the next day and makes over $1,500.
There we go.
And now, proof of concept.
Right.
Yep.
Like, now, he's like, let's go.
Yeah,
like,
man.
this is,
I'll buy the kit myself, Dad.
Yeah. Oh, he's already paid me back. Like, it's,
Yeah.
you already took the money, paid me back. Like, I'm serious about that stuff, right? But the point of the matter is that, when you look at that kind of stuff, for me, every kid's different. You got to understand them. You got to, whatever. But like, there's no loss in that. There's no, it's got to become, and like the whole thing, the whole conversation I had with him, like I said to you guys, is I'm like, I even had this conversation when we got in depth, and I'm like, buddy, you need to be documenting this. You need to be thinking about this, because he one day in some way wants to be me. Like, he's like, I want to talk to people. I said, awesome. He's like, well, what do I have to do? I'm like, you have to have something to talk about. You have to have a track record. It's not enough to be a good orator. It's not enough. You have to have a track record. Don't focus at all on trying to do that. Just focus on winning right now.
Yeah,
Just focus on going through struggles. Just focus on overcoming them. But you need to document it.
Sure.
And you need to figure out, what are the stories you're going to tell one day? What did you learn from that?
and what's going to affect other people when you talk about it, and what's the lesson that they can pull from that, and what is the, and I'm having these convos with him.
Right.
So he'll literally come back from going and like walk in the neighborhood, and we're going to go hit this one, and we're going to whatever, and he tells me, this happened, and this person said this, and I think this, and he's like sharing like what it is, and it's so cool to kind of like see right now, you know, that it unfolding, you know, right before your eyes, what you know one day is going to be talked about, and now he's pulling his younger brother to go to the neighborhoods, teaching them how to do it. Like, here's what we, you know, the other day they went out and had 0 success. You know, nobody was home. Nobody was, and so I said to him, it was a Saturday midday. I said, so what did we learn from this? He's like, well, I don't know. It was like, maybe it was, I'm like, it's Saturday midday. It's like one of the first sunny days. Nobody's home. You got to go at the right time. You know? But I knew that when he went out.
Man, but
Go fail.
that's so good of you, just being an awesome parent and an awesome enabler. Like, people use an enabler in such a negative connotation, especially
that's such a good point, by the way. Not the first part, but I mean the idea of the enabling goes both ways.
It does go both ways, because you're enabling him to really discover. I mean, like we talked about the other day, I pulled him aside and had just such an awesome conversation with him. Like, Grayson, you are learning such good skills in life, and no matter what you decide to do ultimately with your life, maybe it could be a few different things that you decide to do. But the fact that you're getting up, that you're investing your time and your energy, you're having wins, you're having losses, you're learning, right? Like, these are such good skills to have as a person.
Dude, what did I say to you the other day? I told him, I said, for anybody, if you can learn how to get up in the morning, have nothing going on, and create revenue out of thin air, like that whole go for a half hour, book 4 jobs, 15, if you know how to do that, you will never be broke.
Or
like, it's just, once you know that it's not reliant on this person or this employer or this whatever, that you can make it happen. You can attract the dollars to you. That's a skill. You'll never be broke.
That moment when you shift from, oh, I guess I got to get a job, I don't know how to do it, to where you have control, and then you have the confidence that you know for sure you can make it work, that is the first step towards true financial independence, right? Because you're not dependent on everything else at that point. You're dependent on your own willpower to get out there and make it happen.
Yes. What am I willing to do? How many no's am I? What did I say the other day? It's like we were talking about something, and I said, look, man, you don't peak in high school. You know, your job in high school is to not be rejected. You know, even the goth kids who are so different, they're dressed like all of their friends. Right. They're still trying to fit in, you know? And so in high school, your job is don't get rejected. Don't get rejected. Don't be different. Don't, use the right words, say the right things, laugh at the right time, like, just don't be rejected. When you become an adult, if that is still your MO, you peaked in high school. Your job as an adult is to get rejected every day, all day. Like, how many people can I get to say no to me? How many people can I hear what I have to say and say? Because when that happens, now you're not the kid that won in high school. You're the kid who's going to win after high school. Right. It's a flip of the switch.
Well, when you don't have your emotional well-being attached to not being rejected, like when you know you're okay, even if you get rejected, like I didn't have that. Right. As a younger person, I didn't rejection was so deeply painful. Like Max. LA Max, right? I mean, you're connected to the entertainment industry through your wife, right? She's legitimately there. So when I was in college for theater, if I auditioned for something and I didn't get cast, that was really hard to get over. And I had a group of friends that moved to New York or moved to LA, and I wasn't going to be one of them. Because at that stage, I could not face that kind of rejection. So, all these things that we're touching on, they seem so disparate sometimes, but they're all so connected. Like, there is such a truth in life that we just don't get through it alone.
Totally.
Right? We don't.
Totally.
And so, like, eager to share the thing about the fitness? Hell yes, absolutely I am. Maybe that'll help somebody else. Right? Like what you're doing with your business, StackWrap. You had this problem as a broker owner, like, it's a huge, I got to solve this thing for me. Totally. And then, it's now that you've solved it, you want to share it.
Totally.
It's like we got to always be paying it forward. Always.
Totally.
Can I tell you, like, one of the major, I don't usually talk about these things, but like one of the major mental mind shifts for me that I did years ago that has like completely changed everything I do. It changes what I'm willing to do. It changes what I'm willing to fail at. It changes, whatever, is that I have changed the way that I look at my life. I look at my businesses. I look at my decisions. And my goal, what I'm going for, is more built around the pivot than it is the right decision. I am way less interested in making good decisions and way more excited about what the pivot's going to look like. Because it's like the older you get, the bigger you get, the more what you realize. You always say like how little you know. Perfection isn't the goal. The smartest people in the world make mistakes. The greatest business minds in the world, the greatest, Buffett buys the wrong stock sometimes. The idea that we have to tie ourselves to perfection, and now I have to be this thing, and I just let that go, and I went, man, I'm gonna be the king of the pivot. Like, let's keep making decisions until we make a wrong one, and I can't wait to see what the pivot looks like, because the pivot is you learn way more from the pivot. So, for example, I said, do you feel this pressure now to like stay where you are or do whatever? I think the most exciting next thing is when you start to struggle again. It's when it's not as easy anymore.
Yeah.
Totally.
And now it's like, what's the shift here? What has to change? Is there a change in eating? Is there a change? Do I have to change my workout? Do I have to change? Because to me, the power of that pivot says way more to people in struggle than just, I got it down now.
Yeah.
I got it. So for me, I shifted from have to make perfect decisions to I'm now focused on I can't wait for good pivots. Like to me, there's way more power in how quickly you pivot than in how many right decisions you make.
I'm sure you guys probably maybe feel the same, but I would much rather be friends with someone, if we're just talking about business, someone who maybe failed at their first 6 or 7 attempts at a business, right? Yeah. And it's like, I got hit in the mouth.
You
this one
so
failed.
much
This
from
one
your
failed.
failures,
But my 7th business was the one.
Right.
Was the one. And I have so much, like I've learned so much from that journey versus someone who's like, well, I started something and it became uber successful. Right.
Do what I,
Do you know what you just reminded me of? This is going to get real for a second. I just had a conversation with someone who's having relationship issues. And I'm talking to this person about relationships and everything. And he finally just looks up and he goes, I got to be honest, man. I was a little tentative. He goes, I know you, like, he goes, I've been following you. I know you went through a divorce. I know you went through it. He goes, how the hell do you know so much about, he's like, I'm listening to you right now. And I'm going, how? Like, whatever. And I literally said to him, I said, my man, like the people you learn the most from are the ones who went through it. And they know where the pitfalls are and they've been to that place and they know, like, that's how you learn.
Totally.
Right? Until you crash your bike, you're not going to be an expert on that thing.
No.
And so you either at that moment, you either hold on to what was and say, well, they're bad and they're, whatever, and you keep pushing forward. Or at that moment, you learn way more than you could ever learn from success.
Totally.
And so it's an interesting thing when you talk about businesses. It's the same thing in relationships. It's like those bad arguments, those failed relationships, those whatever. You learn what went wrong. If you're someone with enough self-awareness, enough EQ, enough to be able, enough confidence to go, where did I screw up? Where's whatever. It's the same thing in the business world.
Totally.
Somebody who's never had any failures.
It's such a balance. Like you're making me think of boundaries. Right? Because, you're in a relationship with yourself first. Yeah. Right? And sometimes you're just kind of drifting along waiting for things to happen to kind of give you a direction. Yeah. But at some point in life, you say, all right, that, I need to be treated a certain way. Yeah. Like, I have to have some rules here.
That's so true.
And every single thing we do in life is just so connected and complete. Part of the reason I think Jared and I became fast friends is we're totally comfortable just being who we are. Right? Yeah. Like, this is it. Warts and all. Yeah. Love it, hate it, whatever. We're okay with that.
Yeah. It's not the deeper you get, this person changes. It's like, no, it's not right now.
Yeah. Where's the real Jared James? Like,
what did I within 5 minutes make a joke at you at the table? Just straight out of the pedophilia or something or whatever. And you're like, oh, good to meet you. Like, he asked to see like pictures on my kid's phone or something, and I was like, whoa,
his kid down there. He got a haircut. All right, let's put some context around this. His son got a haircut, shaved his head off, and it's a cool haircut for a young kid. But I'm like, well, what'd you look at before you cut your hair off? Yeah. Right? Like, and he had a good head of hair. He has good genes.
They don't need that context.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't.
Jeez.
It's important for me.
But so like the point here is that who we are is where everything starts. Yeah. Right?
Totally.
And as someone who didn't live an entire life being okay with who I was.
Yeah.
Like, I've got nothing but openness and respect for wherever somebody is in their journey. Like, that's okay. I don't have any judgment there about them, right? The older, the more experienced I get, the more boundaries. At the same time, it's like, okay, I don't want to make that same set of mistakes I made before, right?
so true.
You refine.
You know, like, and business is such a great example of this, because my first business, I failed fast. I was out of business in 90 days. I had no conception how much money it was actually going to take to get off the ground. I was not prepared for that, right? And so I'm like, oh my God, I just started this thing and I can't keep it going. This is horrible.
Everybody knows about it. They know I tried
so
this. They're going to think I'm a loser.
I got a job, and 2 years later, I was ready to do it again. And that business thrived. We grew really quickly. We became profitable really quickly. But I made partnership mistakes where we weren't aligned on the same trajectory, right? And so after a period of time, that business relationship had to end because I wanted this and they wanted that. It just, you know, there's a point where one's not right, one's not wrong. It's just not compatible.
I was going to say, just
right?
because something's good doesn't mean it's good for you.
And how many relationships does that sound like? It's like the whole thing
totally.
is it's like who we are is who we are everywhere.
Right.
There's no separation between that.
Right.
So like you're a guy who says, I'll work for 14 months for free because I need to learn this thing. I want to feed the knowledge.
Yeah.
Right? And now, not that long later in the grand scheme of a guy who's 54 years old, right?
Yeah.
But you've been a broker owner now for years, right? You've scaled to, 65, 70 agents?
Around
somewhere
there,
in
yeah.
Right?
Totally.
And along the way, you had like problem after problem after problem after problem.
Yeah.
And when you actually solve that problem, you got the urge to share it with others, right? Just like the lifestyle versus identity thing.
Yeah.
So I really want to spend a little bit of time just highlighting what the problem is you actually solve, because people need to know about this.
So you before we go there, a couple of things. So interesting. You mentioned boundaries. Boundaries are not for other people, for us. Like we always think about, but what about them? And it's like, no, boundaries, they're not for them. It's for us. Like we're not dealing with that, right? What's good doesn't mean it's good for you. I do want to know. Okay, so making the transition here, I'm interested to know, because you said. So Dan just said that now how many people are at your brokerage?
Got about 75, and not to correct you, Dan, but I'm going to correct you.
Yeah.
Okay.
No longer an independent brokerage. We are now
That's right.
team under Real. So it's an adjustment
did know that.
we're all going. I'm going.
I'm
through
not
it
used
too.
to saying that yet.
Yeah, but.
Hey guys, I want to talk to you about an amazing real estate tool right now called Mosaik. You know, if you want to take your people off of the portals where they're all hanging out and whatever and into your ecosystem, this is the tool that does that. You know, this is a beginning to end, not a CRM, it's not another CRM, it doesn't replace that, but it's a beginning to end system that really looks at the lifetime value of your client and looks at every part of that process and takes care of all of it in a way that's completely transparent. So yes, they've got search, they've got transaction coordination, they've got, even for us when we do things like we teach our students the Core 100, they've got the ability to put those people in there, track what's happening, do all of that in an amazing way. But probably the thing that I love about this more than anything is the transparency. You know, in an industry that keeps talking about transparency, and usually when you hear something over and over again, it means that it's not being done at all. This is actually a transparent tool. This is the first tool that I've seen that actually brings the consumer into the transaction. And I think that is the next level of where we are going within this industry. You know, you hear from so many buyers and sellers that, oh, my agent didn't do anything, or I feel like they're not, and there's not this communication going on. This is the first tool I've seen, almost like the early days of .loop where you had that collaboration, but it was just for the document and the signature. They can do that with the transaction now, not only with the clients, but with the vendors, whoever it is, in an amazing way where they can see every step of what's going on. You can write notes to them back and forth. They can see every part of the paperwork and everything and the way that you decide to show it. It's really the next level of what we need to be doing from a consumer experience perspective, so they know what's happening, and more importantly, we drive that lifetime value back to you. So if you haven't yet, guys, this is a tool you're going to hear over and over again. You're going to hear me talk about it because I really think it's my role to not just define what the problems or solutions are, but provide the tools that will actually get you there. And while so many tools right now are just check the box and just say you have them, this is one yourself, your team, your brokerage. If you're not on it yet, you need to be. This is not the last you're going to hear about this. They're going to grow astronomically, and this is something you need to get on board with if you're going to operate. If you're going to be one of those people that really overcomes and is that top producer in your area, you've got to have the right tools in place, and Mosaik is one of those right now. So do yourself a favor. Go check out mosaik.io, mosaik.io. Again, mosaik.io. You won't regret it, guys. Send us questions if you do, but this is one of those ones that you're going to look back on and remember, amazing tool.
So actually, I want to make the connection on something before we go into all that other stuff, because you, I think there's a lot that people can learn from this, but I had some curiosity around a certain thing. You said that your mentor was somebody of the old ripe age of 24, 25 when you were first were being mentored by them.
Sure.
But you had said how this person was just an absolute solo, like just they did everything. They were everything. They were. And now you tell us I have a brokerage, 75, 80 people, whatever it is. I've got, whatever. I'm also running a tech company and I'm doing, and we're going to get into all that. But like, you learned from this person, but you're doing different than that person. Mm-hmm. So is it fair to say that you learned a lot of what to do and you learned what not to do? Or was that just something that just came up that you were like, that's just not feasible for me? Like, how did you go from learning from a person who technically did it different than the way you went on to do it? What made you change?
That's a good question. I think going back to a previous conversation, I learned what really good work ethic was, right? He was in the office really early. He was very consistent about writing a blog every single week. He was raising money. He was managing apartment complexes. I mean, he was just doing so much in the real estate industry, quote unquote. But like, I just learned, man, he's in the office at 6 a.m. He's there till 6 or 7 or 8 p.m. I mean, he is working nonstop. He has such a good work ethic, and there was obviously some overlap because I ended up starting a brokerage, and I learned how to efficiently sort of run a company. Yeah. I learned how do you structure your commissions for your agents? How does a brokerage make money? Yeah. Right? Like, how do you recruit agents to a brokerage? Like, how do you build in your value propositions? So those are all things that I took, but I mean, the biggest thing was, man, he's where I want to be, right? And he's giving me the gift of, hey, I'll kind of teach you what I know, and you could just be a fly on the wall, early on in your career and just learn how to structure equity, learn how to, manage apartments. So he was great. I mean, it was one of the reasons why I think I became the entrepreneur that I did, is just because I had such a good person that was really holding my hand through the ins and outs. I got a good education in the broader real estate industry that a lot of people just don't have.
Is it fair to say that you picked up from him the best parts that you needed from him, but then when it came to things like leverage and having, like building out and doing these other things that technically weren't the things he was doing, that those you kind of like picked up from other places or said, I'm going to do that a little different, but from him you picked up the best parts that you needed from him? Kind of.
I mean, I was also lucky where I met my current business partner, Dominic Labriola, who him and I ended up starting Craft and Bauer together. But I think I just have pretty good emotional intelligence, and I know what I'm good at as a person, and I know what I'm not very, I know what I'm not, my weakness is. Yeah. And Dominic, when I met him, he was very organization based. He was running a company, but he doesn't like to be sort of the front and center sort of person. So he's like, I will be
he was the infrastructure behind the scenes. He was the infrastructure. You could do the out front meeting with people. You're good with people. Getting people to like you, doing that whole thing. Yeah. And it's like together. Such a good partnership. Together we can. That makes complete sense. Now tell me. So here's what's interesting, because we're going to get into, you now have a tech company called StackWrap, which for our listeners and the people watching, they're probably going to hear me mention it, a bunch in the future here, just because it fits the idea. This is why you and I even started talking. It's because it fits the idea of like what I believe brokerages and teams and whatever need to be doing for their agents. It's very simple, very easy. But there's a couple ways to come at with this before we kind of get into what that is. Sure. You have so many people in the real estate industry, and if you're in real estate, you're entrepreneurial. I don't think enough people in real estate look at themselves as entrepreneurs. So for me, when I was in real estate, it wasn't because I was a realtor. It was an avenue for me to flex my entrepreneurial muscles. Totally. But then people get into real estate and they get stuck, and it's all they ever do. Yeah. And it's one of the things that people always want to hear about from me is like, okay, well then how do I don't have passion anymore. I just, I'm not excited about an inspection anymore. I didn't, whatever. So you now started a company. So you still have your brokerage, but you now started a company called StackWrap. And it's interesting to me on two levels. Number one, just because of what StackWrap is for people to hear about. But number two, the idea that somebody who's in real estate as a broker is not stuck in real estate as a broker only.
Yeah.
That you went, hey, this is something we could do. So first off, explain to us what StackWrap is, and then explain to me kind of like the transition of how did this come about and how is it now available to other people? Like, how did that happen? So what is StackWrap?
Yeah, so StackWrap was a platform I originally built for my brokerage, and this was during the height of lockdown.
Yeah, this is, by the way, why this is so interesting to me is because the thing we're about to talk about here a little bit was not built for the industry. It was built for you.
It was built for me, yeah. And, I, again, being very, having a pretty high emotional intelligence, like, I kind of realized our biggest vulnerabilities as an organization, which was, hey, we offer, as an indie, we offer you great tools. Follow Up Boss, Ylopo, SkySlope, all these great tools. Yeah. But, hey, if you want to join us, you kind of have to just bookmark them, right? Like, they're great, but there's not a good way to organize.
And by the way, for any broker team leader out there right now, you know exactly what he's talking about. It's like it's such a frustrating experience where you're like, I'm thinking of like what's her name from Aladdin, the girl. I can show you the world.
Jasmine, yeah.
And like she's like, I can. It's like, oh, I can do all of this. Look at everything I have for you. But at the end of the day, most agents and otherwise don't adopt.
Yeah.
And it's just, you have great tools, but this is over here. It's all bookmarks. So, this long.
Totally.
How do you get them to log in? How do you get them to see it? How do you get them? So it's like you have all of this stuff, but you don't have an easy way to deliver it.
That's the point. And also, I was losing a lot of recruiting battles, right? Because in LA specifically, Compass is our pretty much the biggest brokerage, right? It's a very tech forward, as everyone knows. They've got everything in one spot. So if I was trying to recruit a Compass agent away from Compass into an indie brokerage, it's like, no, Compass, it's all there. It's like, why, it makes my life easy, right? It makes my life easy. So, I'm like, well, I guess I have to really figure this out if I want to really take that next step in growth as a brokerage.
Yeah.
So ended up meeting, the guy who built it, Matt Clayhorse. Shout out to Matt, amazing person.
By the way, before you go there, it's an important point I want to make here. This is so crucial. You were getting beat by competition.
Totally.
And rather than bash that competition and say that's bull crap and that's whatever, I say all the time, competition either eliminates you or makes you better.
Yeah.
And if you're over here complaining about your competition, I know which side you're going to fall on.
Right.
You looked at that competition and realized there's a reason why they're competition. It's because they're doing something better than us.
Yes.
That when we get at this point of the appointment with the recruit, I know that I'm at a disadvantage here. And it's like, I know they do that, but I'm really nice and we're going to take care of you. And and you realized you were at a disadvantage.
I stopped. I mean, I spent a good 6 months. I mean, if it was a warm recruit, if it was someone I had a relationship with and they wanted to talk to us about joining, of course I would take that appointment. But I really took my foot off of the gas from hey, let's go out and cold recruit and really scale, because I knew we had such a big vulnerability in our business.
Was that big of a deal?
I mean,
it was happening over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't growing at the pace that Dominic and I knew, based on everything that we could provide as broker owners. Like, we weren't, and it's because of our tech stack.
Wow.
So we really took a step back and said, you know what, let's build this system that brings in every single tool that we're offering our agents into one cohesive ecosystem, right? So kind of the V0 of StackWrap was built for Craft and Bauer.
Version 0.
Yeah, it was a pretty early version, but it worked super well. It single sign-on. My agents logged into the platform. It pulled in data from all of these different third-party platforms into the StackWrap environment.
One intranet right there.
And as soon as we launched it, I mean, from a retention perspective, we hardly lost any agents, because they're like, man, this makes my life so much easier, right? why would I want to go anywhere else?
Yeah.
You guys are such a great, you're good leaders. You offer great tech, and now it's all in one spot.
Good looking, you smell good.
You do. Smelling is the best part,
Yeah.
right? It's my best quality.
I'm thinking about just the time savings right now because I have this happen. Everybody does who's got people, right? Where's that thing that I need to get? Where's that? Like you're constantly answering the same question over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Or more importantly, unless you think, oh, I need that, and you go to your bookmark and go to it, okay, now I'm there. Whereas when you have everything in one central place and now you're going into that every day, even if you're just going for one thing, you're looking at everything else and going, oh, shoot, there's my reminders I'm supposed to follow up from my CRM.
Right.
Oh, shoot, there's the announcement for my company on the thing we have coming up over here. Oh, shoot, the Jared James Academy call was just done over here, and we've got, and it's all like, this is
This
my
is my
main
life.
hub.
Right.
Like, it's all right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's really, going back to what we just, talked about at the beginning of the podcast, it's the positive momentum. It's the, we got to figure, if we're going to survive as an indie, this is a big piece of the equation that we have to figure out.
Dude, Entrepreneur 101, right?
Right.
I love that so much. I love that so much.
Your itch.
Yeah. And
I got to jump in here, right?
Totally.
Because when we met, you were looking for, I need a content solution for my brokerage, right? So you found Happy Grasshopper. We had a great call. We go through our process, and as we're getting to know each other, I'm learning about this thing that you're building. And for me, this was like a magic moment, Jared, because my first tech company, I built to solve a problem that I couldn't find
Those are the
technology
best
to
ones.
do,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And all we did, it was so simple. We took one single point of contact information, and we sprayed it into every possible permit application we would ever need to file. Like that, so simple. So like
that's cool.
effortless just to describe. You put it in once, it goes everywhere you might need it.
Yeah.
Right? So I took that idea and I'd be proud of it. I'd like show it to my other contractor buddies. What do you think of this? And you'd be like, oh, I like it too. Can I use it? And I'd be like, sure. Right? Had maybe 2 or 3 of those conversations. I was like, I think I have another business here. Right? So 3.5 years later, I'm exiting that business. I didn't expect to go on that journey. I just started focus on I have a problem I need to solve.
Yeah.
And so when I met Max, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I know how this story goes.
Deja vu.
I know what's going on here.
Yeah.
Because we serve the same client base, right? The agent is our customer.
Yeah.
And I see this pain so clearly. Everybody is sick of having 19 places to go to get access to their stuff.
Yeah.
And if you're a team owner or you're a broker owner, you're sick of buying some new tech and then spending 1.5 years trying to get your agents to use it.
Totally.
Like, and now it's just whoosh, all in one spot. That's where you go. That's where you are.
Yeah.
It just makes it so seamless and easy. I was like, I freaking love this guy. I want to introduce this everywhere.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
So cool. So that what I know about that is like there's 2 different ways you look at things, right? You look at one and you go, you're trying to create a business, and it's like I said before, it's like you get people who like want to be speakers. Like, well, what do I start with? And I'm like, well, you go do something. Like you actually go and like have a track record.
Right.
Don't worry about being a speaker.
Yeah.
Right? Like you want to get to the point where people are coming to you begging you to speak because you have something to talk about.
Totally.
Not you trying to skip the line and go, I need to be in front of people.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing from an entrepreneurial perspective. You get people who go, I just need to have the business, so let me just create something and then I'll give it to them. And then you get people who go, I'm just going to go like fix my own problem here.
Yeah.
And have no other motive, I just like, there's too much of this. I'm seeing that. And what I love about this, and the reason I want to talk to you is because when you and I were talking, it was like, I'm thinking about our audience and I'm thinking about how many coaches never sold a home, right? And it's like, but yet we're telling people, whatever. At the same time, when you look at all the things that have been innovated within our industry and everything else, your story of like, no. It was in this industry. I went and worked for free for whatever. I learned from this person, then made these mistakes, did whatever. Then I'm out doing recruiting appointments to the point where we like stop doing recruiting appointments because we see this issue that we're continually getting beat by this.
Yeah.
How do we fix this?
Yeah.
With no other intention than just how do we for us fix it?
Yeah.
And then that happens and it grows and grows and now it's like, oh shoot, this is something that everybody needs.
Yeah.
And the thing that just so resonates with me is that I'm on this kick, and this is why it resonated with me with you, is that I'm on this kick right now that like we're operating in, the app storification of our industry. And it's the idea that, people are living in the economy of convenience where they do what's convenient. Mm-hmm. They don't always use the best, they use the easiest option. Who's there? who's in front of you.
Right.
I guarantee you there are apps that do things that you use every day that are better than the ones that are on your phone. You just don't even know about them because
Right.
they're not available in the App Store.
Yeah.
So that's all that matters is whether they're in that store or not, right? And so, it's this thing where we have this battle going on in our industry right now where you have rocket companies buying Redfin. You've got the Zillow Super app, which for the first time they turned a profit. And the reason they turned a profit is because their mortgage business was up 32% because everyone's put, within that Super app, they made it easy to find the property. We pre-approve you. We do. And it's the easy next step.
Yeah.
Because we're in the economy of convenience.
Right.
And there's this whole thing that happens while I'm talking about this, and I had this epiphany where it's like, yes, that's what's happening in the industry overall. But then when you zoom in and you go brokers to agents, same thing. When you look at agents and their ability to move there, move here, stay here, move, whatever it is, the amount of stickiness that occurs when you can actually bring them into your systems and they're using them on a daily basis. And now it's not just a decision of do I want to go to that brokerage, it's a matter of do I want to lose what I have here. Most of them don't have to make that second decision because they're not using anything there anyway.
Right.
Most of them, when you say, well, what's the value of your broker? Well, he's a really nice guy. Well, she picks up when I call.
Yeah.
Well, and they don't even realize this broker's spending thousands of dollars a month on tools that they're just not even using.
Yeah.
Because they're in the economy of convenience
God.
as well.
Or they don't even realize that those tools are being offered to them.
Right.
There was so many things. I mean, we went through a big trimming of the fat expenses when interest rates shot up. A year and a half ago. I mean, we really had to audit our business and look at the money that we were spending on tech. And the cool thing about StackWrap is you can not only see when your agents are logging in, but you can kind of see what they're interacting with.
Yeah.
So, if I'm spending $1,800 a month on a tool that I think is awesome and it's going to make my agent's life so much easier, but then no one's really using it, right? It's like, oh, okay, this isn't as important as I once thought.
Oh, wait, well, Max, let's go one step further. Or, from a customizable perspective, because I know you were showing this to me, that on the dashboard you have an ability as an admin to take these tools, move them around, put things up and down, whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe you're finding all the heat is happening here, and this one down here is not getting heat because it's not visible.
Totally.
And now it's like, well, before we just go and get rid of that thing, let's try popping that up here, do a 2-week trial, put it at the top, and see if now people start using it. Yeah. You have this ability to take tools that are so sticky, now they become a part of people's everyday lives, move them down, and now take the ones you're trying to introduce, pop them up, and now you're just using this as a tool to, when they log in, first thing they're seeing. Like, let's see if it's actually something that's going to work, right?
You can test
just so much more control.
Yeah.
Is this broker team leader, or is it an individual as well, or just broker team leader?
For right now, it's mostly if you're running a team, if you're running a brokerage, you're primarily the one making the decision to sign up for StackWrap. But then you can, you build your tools in, you organize your workflow, like whatever you want your agents to be interacting with, you get to determine that as the admin person, part of your organization.
So mainly team leader, broker.
Mainly team leader, broker, yeah. But I was trying to think, but there's things about talking about an entrepreneurial journey, right? There's things I didn't even recognize that were going to be important to people until we got people into the system giving us that critical feedback.
So much. Yeah.
Like for example, like I didn't think that this program would have much value if you're like a team lead, like a 14-person team under
which I think it does,
a Remax or something, right? Like I thought, oh no, I think our customer's an independent brokerage, right? Who's but it's like even if you're a small team under a much larger brand, or Compass, right? Like if I'm running a team under Compass, but I also offer my agents Follow Up Boss and Brokerman and the Jared James Academy, right? You still have to leave that brokerage's ecosystem to access all of the team-specific tools. So there was a little bit of an aha moment for me where I'm like, oh man, wait, this is going to really empower that team leader because now they can make it their own. They can put their branding on it.
They've got their forms right there. They've got their
forms, right? So now they have something very proprietary to recruit to, saying, hey, we're under Remax, and they offer some pretty good tools. But the reason you're going to join my team is because I offer X, Y, and Z.
Right. You can offer those tools, but then you can additionally, because you guys also have the ability to put you could put a customized thing on there, like make a little picture, boom, put it on there, links to it, get everything right there. Like it's just, you know, it's a pretty it's so freaking simple, but it's just like why are we doing that right now? Like that just makes complete sense. Like why pay for all these tools if ultimately, you know, number one, you're not making it easy for people to use them, and number two, you don't even know if they are using them.
Yeah, right.
You have no idea. Yeah. And this gives you that ability to, you know, have it right in front of them, make it their hub, make it their. To me, that's the way moving forward.
Yeah.
And it's sticky, right? It's like from a brokerage perspective, in a world where everyone's trying to figure out whether it's, you know, MLSs, brands, boards, brokerage, whatever. Everybody's trying to figure out what's our value.
Right.
Like, you know, what are they doing for me?
Totally.
What are they, you know, to be able to have that thing you can point right to and go, there it is.
Yeah.
Like, there it is. Like, you know, the ability to communicate. You've got notifications on there. You can message out. You can break up. If you have 15 different offices, you can have 15 different, an overall, and then somebody who's running each location with different stuff going to them. Like, whatever it is, you know, if I were to say to you in a few sentences, like, what is StackWrap? Like, is it just your place
it's
where
your
you have all
life?
your
Like,
tech stack
it's
in one
literally,
place?
as a real estate agent, it's literally your life. It's like, why am I a team member of Dan, right? Like, well, Dan's a great guy, and he offers this cool thing that I can just log into, and all of my tools are right there, right? And he answers my phone calls when I have a contract question. It's very simple value propositions, but it's like as the industry continues to consolidate and the mega, companies and enterprises are taking over. You know, it's like for the everyday real estate agent, you just need a couple of things to be happy, right? You need a responsive team leader, a responsive broker, and you kind of need an efficient workflow.
Yeah.
If you got that as a team leader, then
for sure. And as an entrepreneur, right? You're Mr. Broker owner, and now you have this burgeoning thing that could become something really special, right? It's like an exciting, precious new idea. How's the world going to embrace this thing? And I remember having conversations with you about this a year ago, and I was like, well, I don't really know Max yet, but I want to help this guy because you know it's what you do. You pay it forward. And so you know we had a few meetings about where StackWrap was and where StackWrap could possibly go. And to think of just this growth journey over the past year you've been on, how stable the product is, and how many people are embracing it, and we were looking at the usage stats. Right. So you know, my company, Happy Grasshopper, we send stuff for people. Our users, they log in, they're in there for a little while, then they log out. StackWrap users are like in there all the time.
Yeah, they live in there.
Always using it. It's such a cool thing. So,
and it doesn't have to be real. I mean, it could be literally your company uses Monday.com. Your company uses it's just like whatever that thing is, you house it in here. Like it pulls right in, and it's like, hey, this is the place where everything's gonna happen. This is where it makes it nice and easy, right? Like you said, single sign on, log into your StackWrap, you're good to go, right? So cool. I mean, honestly, like I said, we have other things to talk about, but like I wanted to make sure that we, from an entrepreneurial perspective, I think the cool part of that story, you know, we have a lot of brokers and team leaders and otherwise that could obviously benefit from that, and they're missing out right now, not just from a recruiting standpoint, but from a retention standpoint.
Totally.
What does it matter if you're bringing in one person but two are going out the door? You know, and everyone's looking right now in this unstable, you know, whatever climate. It's like everybody's looking right now and going, where's the value? Like, what's it going to be for me? But the cool thing for me, I think, just from the story perspective of it, the reason why I wanted to have you on here is just kind of that. A lot of people get stuck in this idea that they are just they're just a realtor, they're just a broker, they're just and so to put up examples of people who are still a broker, but have now gone into that tech world with viable products that only came from scratching their own itch, I think is really cool for people to see.
Hey, it's cool for my journey, but also a counterpoint, like, it's also cool if you're just a real estate professional and you've been there for 45 years and you're known in your neighborhood, you've got repeat clients, you make a good living, and you've been a real estate agent for that entire time. That's also really cool, right? So there's no right or wrong way that you can approach your career or your life. It's just, you know, you've got to make it your own. You've got to wake up in the morning and really have that drive and determination to say, you know what, this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I know I want to spend my time doing.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it really does make me happy, right? So to your point, there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just, you got to know yourself as a person.
It's your first child in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is something that didn't exist, that you conceived of, that you brought into the world, and now it's like you're nurturing it. It's taking its first steps, and it's running, and it's off and growing and going. It's just such a
really
cool thing.
I have such a good off-podcast joke based on what you just said. Oh, it's so good. For everybody listening right now or watching, it's so good. I just don't want to lose the respect of everybody listening and watching. It's so good, though.
We will circle back on this
one.
This is getting to be a theme with
Oh,
you.
it's
He's
so
got
good.
something really funny to say,
really
but he's
funny.
not going to
Really
share with
funny.
you. Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's where I want to go with this, right? Because a lot of people think, how do you start a business? There are actual real steps that have to be taken. And because of the way that StackWrap came into existence, you didn't follow all those steps in the normal order. Like most people who are tech entrepreneurs like I am, you want to validate first. Like, I have this mind child. Is there a market for this? Does anyone want it?
Yeah.
So you find a way to get it out in the public beforehand. Maybe you have a wait list, right? Maybe you let people buy a reservation at a low price. Like, vehicles get sold. We just put a deposit on the new Scout electric pickup truck that won't be out until like 2027, right?
You didn't learn your lesson?
I learned my lesson, but I still love my electric car.
Guy waited 2 years for a Tesla, and then once it came out, they like cut the price by 25.
Oh, man.
A quarter.
Yeah. I did. Like many people who bought a Tesla,
He waited years.
I got totally worked on the economic side for sure.
Oh, man.
He waited
You could
years.
buy my car that I drive brand new today for about half of what I paid. And if you bought the same one used today, because the used car market for Teslas currently is just absolute garbage. I feel like there could be a class action suit because you've never seen a brand incinerate their own product's value more quickly
He
than
waited
Tesla
2 years
has.
for it at a certain price, and then like it came out. He gets it finally after 2 years, and then they're like, "Now this is available on all lots at half the cost."
Yeah, right.
Yeah, just brutal.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Brutal, but it like you said, we all make mistakes,
Yes,
right? You
totally.
learn from them.
Do you know what's funny about that?
Totally.
We're gonna continue on this, but like when I was looking for cars for my son, no
Yeah.
joke, there were some Teslas on the lot. It's a great car. Like I would completely consider it. Although I don't really want my 16-year-old driving a car that fast.
Yeah.
That it can go that fast that quick.
Yep.
And I was shocked when I saw the price, and I was like, "That's like really
That's
affordable."
all? How did that
Yeah,
happen?
I'm like,
Yeah.
that is crazy. Like that's really
I know.
affordable.
It hurts.
Anyway,
it hurts. So I'm
we
gonna go
digress.
cry for a while.
Yeah.
But so like stages of building a business, right? You validate first. That's job number one. But that's not what you do when you're building StackWrap. That's not what I did when I built that first tech product because I just had present pain I had to solve for me.
I was gonna say,
like
you kind
I
of
need
did
to fix
validate
this
it.
thing.
You did it within your own
Well,
company.
no, because if it's only good for you, it's not. It shouldn't be a business yet.
Right.
Right. You need the validation of strangers who are willing to
Oh, you
say,
need the-
"I
you're
don't
talking
know
about
you,
outside
but please
validation,
take
yeah.
my money." You need that
Yeah.
external validation before you pour a ton of time and treasure into
Yeah.
building something new. Right?
Yeah.
So that wasn't the story for StackWrap because Kraft and Bauer needed this solution.
Right.
And you guys went way further on product development than I ever would before I knew for sure I had a validated product.
Yeah.
Right? So he actually got into like the foothills of the next stage, the
Yeah.
product market fit phase.
Yeah.
Right? To where when I first saw it, I was like, this is way more developed than I expected to
Yeah.
see.
Than an in-office
Right?
product just for you. Yeah.
Just like, you know,
Yeah.
entrepreneur buddy to entrepreneur buddy,
Yeah.
when I looked at it, I was like, whoa, this is way more developed than I expected.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so what have you done to like put this out in the world? Well, not really, not much. Haven't done much with that. Wow.
Yeah, this is
okay,
the first time
so
I'm actually
cool.
talking about it in a public, we've been so heads down building, just really making sure it's right, aligning with the right broker owner
Yeah.
partners, the team leader partners, and I really wanted their critical feedback, and we really worked a lot of things out to where the current iteration, I have a lot of confidence that this thing is going to be pretty big, and it's very pragmatic, right? It's like you put all your stuff into one spot. Do you have a problem with your bookmarks and your disorganization, right? Like it's such a simple concept, But, you know, I mean, again, credit to my business partners, credit to you, Dan. Like, you've had so much fantastic say in these things. So I just really try to surround myself
it's a privilege to pay it forward, honestly. And, you know, you get to a point in your life where you're just like, you know, you've got energy to share. It's like, I can't wait to share the lifestyle and identity thing. It's kind of the same.
Totally,
like, you do not have to make all those mistakes I made because I'm here and I can help you avoid those things, right?
Totally.
It's so good to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And so I want to circle back here to a key point, right? Because, like, as we got to know each other early on and you started sharing StackWrap with me, I was impressed, right? But that also doesn't mean this is something I necessarily want to get involved with or share or talk about with anybody, because you need to be confident in who this person is beyond the product's potential, right? So we spent the better part of a year just, you know, I'm available to chat every now and then. Let's see what it is, right? And then, you know, eventually we integrate Happy Grasshopper, right? We make that something that's natively available inside the app, right? That's really cool. And then, full disclosure for everybody, like I had an advisory role, but I've taken a role as an investor also, because I just so believe in what you're building. And, you know, as an entrepreneur who's built and launched and scaled and exited, and as an entrepreneur who's built and launched and failed hard, I have never seen a product that more people just go, oh my God, I get it. Wow.
Easy to understand.
Great.
Good to go. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but have you churned a single customer yet?
No.
That is unheard of.
Yeah.
Like, looking at the daily active users, looking at the fact that once they start, they don't ever leave, and looking at the fact that everybody just seems to get it so quickly. I'm like, come on,
Dan,
this is nuts.
So
here's the thing,
people who
Jared.
don't speak our language, explain churn for them.
Churn is, we'll use the gym again, right? And you've had this experience, right? You subscribe to that thing and you don't use it. Right?
Gyms literally operate on the idea of the percentage of people who aren't going to show up.
Right?
They're just going to pay and not be there.
So the beginning of the month, they had 1,000 subscribers. The end of the month, they have 900 subscribers. They churned 100 subscribers, right? That's churn. That's when people leave. And if you're building a tech product, you know, gone are the days where you get like a CD-ROM and you install the software and then you just own it, right?
Remember that?
Everything's a software as a service today. So we're all in the subscription economy.
Totally.
You are in your coaching business, right? You are if you're a landlord and you own property, that's a subscription business. I am at Happy Grasshopper. You are at StackWrap. So, you know, understanding these different stages and seeing how it fits together, there's few times in your career where you just go, wow, this is really... You guys watch, okay? I'm going to predict the future here. If you're watching this today, it's because of Jared, right? Jared is the guy that you know. I am going to predict that, you know, in just a few short years, like, Max is going to be the guy who everybody knows. It's going to happen, Max. Get ready for it. It's going to happen. And you don't have to be Jared, you're Max, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is there are few people who create something that's so universally recognized as valuable and needed. Right? That is special. That is uniquely special.
The most important thing to me, and thank you for the compliment, but like, I'm such a big proponent of our industry, right? And especially if you're a team leader or a broker owner, like you've got, you know, like you could probably make a lot more money as a singular agent. I mean, speaking from experience, I was making a lot more money as an agent than I was as a broker owner, right? Like, for the record. I know the sacrifices that you have to make. I know the time commitments it takes from just coaching your agents and retaining your agents and making sure they're happy and offering the tech. And like, you really have to be passionate about, you know, I mean, a lot of different things, but like team leaders and broker owners hold a very special part in my heart. So this is such a good way to empower them and say, hey, I know what you're going through, right? Like, I know the struggles that you guys are going through. This could really help. It's really helped me. If you're dealing with, you know, similar issues and similar vulnerabilities in your business, I think this could be an awesome tool for you too, right? Like, so that's what really drives me, and I'm hoping that it continues to evolve and, you know, be generally a really good thing for our industry. But like that's really the most important thing for me.
I'm so sure it will be. And again, this is just the benefit of perspective here. Sometimes a talent, an idea, an action comes along, and it doesn't seem special. It doesn't seem new or unique. It's just normal because you're so close to it. Mm-hmm. That's probably how StackWrap feels for you, because you're just, oh, this hurts. I'm going to do something about that pain. But really, sincerely, when you look at the scale and the scope, like I've introduced you to friends of mine, people like Eddie Barenbaum, C21 Redwood, like one of the most successful Century 21 franchises ever. Yeah. And what do? They're like, oh my God, this is awesome, I want it, right? They roll it out everywhere and everybody loves it. Yeah. I'm thinking of other people like, Barry Jenkins, right?
Yeah,
he was
Barry
one
Jenkins,
of your, he's a longtime client of mine, and he was one of your early advisors, early adopters.
Nakia
there.
Brooks, Heartland
Nakia,
Realty. Let's
fantastic.
And Kenny Trung.
Kenny, for sure,
so.
Fast, Sacktown guy. And
that's right.
You guys just dropping names here.
Well,
we have to give our people some love.
Here's the coolest thing, though. It's so much fun to see somebody go, oh, yeah, this is cool. Like, I met Kenny several years ago speaking on the road somewhere. Like, super sharp guy, super tech forward. You tell me, hey, I had a call with Kenny. I started a free trial for him. And then like a week later, you look in there and he's built everything out. Yeah. And he's got his people in there using it. Like, you don't understand. Most people who have a SaaS product, you're like, here it is. Please use it. Yeah. Oh, you got to follow up to get them to actually drink, right? Yeah. And here you are just saying, oh yeah, I solved the problem in such an elegant way people want it. Like, he has no idea how special or rare or unique that is. He doesn't have the perspective of that, and it just blows my mind. Like, so cool, Max. Really.
Thank you guys for the compliments, bud.
All right, let's go. Okay, I want to go in another way here, but for anybody who wants to learn more, talk to you, StackWrap.com.
StackWrap.com. You can sign up for an account. Yep.
Awesome. Yep. StackWrap.com. I want to take a different place here with you guys. Being in the industry, you mentioned that your main competitor, in that area was Compass.
Yeah.
What are your feelings, and what have you been seeing around the whole clear cooperation and? Like, have you guys started to see that yet in your area? Have you started to feel that yet in your area? Like, has anything changed yet? What are your feelings?
Hasn't changed yet.
Okay.
It hasn't changed yet. And hey, I don't fault Compass for taking the position that they're taking, right? Like, yeah, you want people to be on the Compass search experience, right? You want to keep people in your ecosystem. Yeah. Totally makes sense. But at the same time, I mean, I'm personally a big proponent of clear cooperation. I think it's healthy for our industry. I think it's good for the consumer, whether you're a buyer or a seller. I mean, hey, you throw a house on the MLS and it's going to get syndicated to all of the different third-party sites. You're going to expose that property to the biggest possible audience for the best possible price. Right. So, like I understand the argument why you want to claw that back, and I know what. I know what they are saying. It's just, have we felt it in our markets? No.
It's so fresh right now.
It's fresh, and it's, it's still a confusing thing to really wrap your head around. But, generally speaking, I just think clear cooperation is just it keeps our industry just healthy, right? It keeps the market.
Yeah. Did you see that Illinois is trying to actually pass a law that backs up clear cooperation and says that if you publicly, if you market a property, that it needs to be on the MLS within 1 day? Illinois is actually trying to pass legislation to make that the law, which is interesting because then you go, well, does it go to other places? And that messes up their whole model, and you got the whole, it's such an interesting thing because I'm such a free market guy where I'm like, I think clear cooperation is what's best for the industry, best for the consumer, best for everyone.
Right.
I also think people should be able to do whatever they want. Meaning, if that's the stance Compass takes, they have, in my mind, the right to let it succeed or let it fail. Yeah. It's just free market. It's kind of like free speech. It's not only free speech when you like what somebody says.
Right.
It's free speech.
Right.
Which means people say things you don't like.
Yeah.
I kind of feel the same way. I know what I think is best for the industry, but I also think that it's okay to disagree. Like, consumer choice, their choice, and I'm kind of open to the experiment.
whatever happens.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you guys saw this, but it's now come out today. Remember, Zillow came out and they said that we will not be showing at all, ever, a property that is privately listed will never get on our portal. And there's a couple things that I think about that. Number one, the thing that I think is still unclear, because I know that is a direct shot at Compass. Redfin said the same thing, okay? And everybody's like, oh, everybody who hates Zillow is now like, way to go, Zillow. Zillow's protecting themselves because they need it on the MLS in order to feed it into them. Like they're protecting themselves. They didn't all of a sudden become Robin Hood. Right. Let's relax here. But what I have not heard discussed yet, and I still don't know how it's going to work, is if you're going to permanently ban properties that are attempted to be sold privately, are you treating for sale by owners the same way? And if you're not treating for sale by owners the same way, are you now penalizing people for trying to do it with an agent? Now having an agent was a negative thing? Because that backfires on the complete belief system you had to begin with. And so I'm like, how are you handling for sale by owners? Like, what are you gonna ban them permanently? What if that for sale by owner, which the majority of them end up selling with an agent, now switches to an agent, a non-Compass agent? You're gonna say you're not allowed on our portal? Or are you gonna break the rules?
Is a for sale by owner considered a listed property?
Of course.
Is it?
How is it any different than private network done through a brokerage?
If it's not on the MLS,
right,
as a FISBO,
right,
is it listed?
Yeah, but that's my point. How is it any different than what?
I understand, but the difference is one is, mom and pop trying to sell their home. The other one is a commercial enterprise in the business of selling
homes. The difference
homes.
is an agent involved.
Right.
So are you now penalizing that an agent got involved? That's my exact point. Like, we're going to handle these ones differently because they hired an agent.
Yeah.
But you, who didn't hire an agent but did the exact same thing, we're not going to penalize you. So now there's a penalty for having an agent. Like, there's a lot of places you go to with this where it doesn't make sense.
But do you see why that might be their position?
Well, they have to. It's self-preservation. Yeah. They have to have that position.
Yeah.
When you have the amount of traffic you have and you make money on that traffic, of course that's got to be your position. You're trying to strong-arm this company into saying they're not going to do that. And then you're hoping that others follow suit. And then today, Homes.com comes out and says, this is so interesting.
Yeah.
Now Homes.com comes out and goes, no, we'll not only put them on our site, we're going to boost them. Like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, this is so shots fired. It's not even, that's how you know how ridiculous this is, because it's not even like we think about it differently, we're still going to allow it.
Yeah.
No, they went the other way. We're going to boost it. So this is clearly right now, like, it's such a, I'm interested to see how all the pieces fall. It's so unnecessary, like, in my mind. It's so like, it's such a distraction.
I think we got to circle back, though. We got to look at Zillow as a business. Right? What is their inventory? What is their product? Right. What is their content that's attracting all the eyeballs? It's those houses, right? So without those houses, like if a significant chunk of the market is now listed privately and it's not on the MLS automatically getting sucked into Zillow, that's reducing the amount of inventory they have to use to attract everyone's attention.
Correct.
And, I mean, check any data source. Zillow owns search today. They
dominate.
I mean, they absolutely dominate, right? So that is a big deal for them. So when you talk about protecting their own interests, really what they're protecting is their inventory, which allows them to attract the eyeballs and the attention of consumers.
That was the point I was making. Was that they're doing it for their own self-preservation. Like, there's no doubt about it, and they have the right to do that.
Totally.
They're doing it for their own self-preservation. Yet I don't know that everybody understands that, like, their listing, that property address is the inventory. That's the value of being there. Right? I don't know that that's always understood.
Right.
Like, can Zillow continue to attract people if they have fewer homes available for search there?
Well, here's the big problem with all of this. Again, I'm going to repeat. I think that clear cooperation is the best option. I think it's what should be. It doesn't mean that what I think should be is the only thing that people can do.
Yeah.
There are some arguments that Compass has made that I think are absolutely accurate. Meaning when they talk about these fights they've had with the MLSs and everything, and they've said how they have 100% monopoly and you can't do anything outside of their rules, that it is killing innovation. They're right. Totally. So like two things, I think that we've gotten to a place where it's like two things can't be true at the same time.
Right.
You're on this side or you're on this side. we do it politically. It's like if you're on this side, well, then everything that person does is a piece of crap and whatever. And if you're over here, everything, and it's like, whoa. Use your freaking brain for a second.
Right.
That makes sense. Oh, that makes sense. Oh, wait a second. So in the real estate world, it's the same thing right now, where we have got to be really careful right now, because as an industry, I'm seeing the same perspective that is pervasive within our political world happening now in real estate, where we are picking sides and we are getting very tribal. And it's like, you're on these people's side or you're on the, and I feel it all the time. I feel the polls because I'm friends with all these CEOs and everything. And like, it's like, I feel the polls happening where it's us versus them. And it's, this whole thing. And it's like, whoa, I just want to remind everybody, I'm for the industry, and I don't have to agree with everything. I don't have to, we represent Compass agents. We represent Remax agents. We represent real agents. I want everyone to win, right? And so when I, with a clear mind, look at some of the arguments they're making. Look, some of the arguments they've made are just, you're like, come on, that's just ridiculous, whatever. But some of them, where they talk about a full monopoly and it kills innovation. You can't do anything because you can't do anything outside their rules, and they control all the traction, they control all the traffic, they control all the whatever. There's no innovation. You do what they say or there's nothing else. I look at it and I go, yeah, that's probably true. Now whether it's good or bad for the industry, whatever. But the thing from a guy who has the perspective I have, I just came back from 5 countries. I leave for Italy in 2 weeks. Like, I see how these people do business. All of them, when they bring me in, the conversation is always trying to westernize their model, because their model is so defunct. It's so chaotic. There's not one spot where everything is. There's not one spot where the consumer can go and everything's there and they make it easy. StackWrap. Not one place you can go to and everything's easy and everything's whatever, right? We have in our industry StackWrapped our industry. It's all in one place. You know where it is, whether it's a force open or whether it's this, whatever. Whether it's this site, it's all there.
Yeah.
And now we have this idiotic war and conversation all around how to undo that. And it's like, and all these places like talk about these other countries and they go, well, that's how Australia does it. Well, that's how. And I'm like, I go to these countries. Yeah. It doesn't work. They're trying to become us.
Right.
And so it's like, it's such an interesting conversation. It's such an interesting dynamic because on one hand, I'm so free market. I'm so like, but then the other side of me that's very like, just common sense is going, hey guys, this is good when it's in one spot. Like this is,
It's such a complicated conversation, but like, let's just play it out in a real world
That's
situation.
That's where I fall, by the way. I'm like, let the market do what it does.
Well, here's the thing. If I'm a home seller and Dan's been my agent, he sold me 2 houses, and I love Dan, I trust Dan,
right?
And I don't really care what brokerage Dan is at. It's just like you can be at Compass, you can be at Remax, you can be at your own shop.
Most of them don't care. Yeah.
I trust your judgment. I know you're going to have my best interests in mind. So, for the everyday real estate agent, if Compass or your brokerage is making a decision one way or the other, you're like, hey, if you're going to list your house with me, this is now the new rules that we have to play in. Right? So, is it a good thing and is it a bad thing? That's up for debate. But at the end of the day, is it a good thing for the consumer who we're all serving? Right? And I think if you fragment the industry and say, well, if you list your house with this company, it's only going to be shown here and it's not going to be shown over there. Right? But what if your buyer's over there? Right? Like, what if that was the perfect buyer who was going to pay above market value because that's the house in the neighborhood with the pool, with the 3 bedrooms and the guest house that they needed, that they've been looking for 7-8 months, right? But it's like you're limiting your agents, right, because of the decisions made by the corporations for their best interests, which I can't argue against, right? They're businesses. They got to do what's best for them.
This is progress, though.
Yeah.
We have cliche statements like 10 steps forward, 3 steps back for a reason.
Right.
It's regression to the mean.
Yeah.
That to get technical with it, right? You're building and growing over time. You look at the stock market over a long period of time. Generally, it's going up, right? But you've got all those peaks and valleys in between. That's what this sort of thing is about. You got to unruffle you got to tear everything apart and rebuild it to make it better sometimes.
You're literally saying what I was thinking in my head as I was just
it's frustrating, right? It's frustrating because there's a point where you go, I'm sick of that.
Yeah.
Don't freaking mess up the bed again. I don't want to have to remake it. We know how, it's good enough the way it is, just leave it. And yet, if we didn't have that instinct, that desire to continually like challenge the status quo,
Right.
we wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't.
Correct.
We'd have been good enough, hundreds of thousands of years ago, and progress would have stopped.
Yeah, this is at least making you rethink everything.
Yeah.
And really understand why you're doing what you're doing, and is this the best way, and is this, because honestly, there's an argument to be made. Although I believe that clear cooperation is probably a good thing. Also that's a way to preserve NAR and MLS or whatever, but that's a whole other whatever. But it's probably a good thing for the consumer. I can also make cases. You live in LA. There's plenty of athletes and actors and actresses who don't want their property listed publicly. There's plenty of price points at $23 million where they don't want days on market shown.
Sure.
Because they're not a $300,000 house with 47 buyers.
Right.
There's a very specific buyer who may not even be in that area, and they don't want it shown that it's been on the market for 482 days. Because in most cases, you would think that means it's not wanted, and that's just not the case. It's just that it's a very. So I can also. It's like with most things. I just find this so true lately. Most things are and, not or.
And is my favorite word.
It's like everybody's like, is it this or is it this? And it's like, I disagree with the premise. It's maybe this and this. It just depends on the situation.
I think the power should always be in the consumer, right? Like if you're a celebrity who has their house or you want to list your house, right?
And you don't want people coming to you for free celebrity tours.
Right. Or it's just like, I mean, regardless of what brokerage you're at and what decisions they're making, it's just like, hey, home seller, like, you've got a couple of options here. You can either go the private listing route through our brokerage and our network and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Or you can list it on the MLS and it gets exposed to the greatest possible audience, or you can do a hybrid approach, whatever that third option is. But I think at the end of the day, it should really the onus should fall on the agent to educate their client about, hey, I'm your fiduciary, and I want to look out for your best interests. And you have a couple of different options, right? So pick the option that you think is best. We know that's never going to be the case because those decisions aren't controlled by the agents. But like in a perfect world, right? That's at least in my mind how a healthy real estate market should continue to be an efficient one.
Yeah, I said all along when it came to clear cooperation, like to me it's an easy solve. You put clear cooperation in. You give one piece of paper that's like a waiver that is very clear. If you decide not to follow this as the seller, it is your choice with your property. You are most likely going to have less viewers of your property, potentially decreasing the demand and the price that you get, potentially doing, like you sign off knowing that this is potentially what's going to be. And if that's the case, give the seller. And then NAR comes out a couple months ago, or last month, and I'm going, oh, they're going to do that. And they come out with this delayed marketing, and it's just another way to protect their MLS. Because all it did was take it off the portals, but now it's still got to be here. And so it's like, so do the searches here, not there.
Right.
That's really what they were saying.
Totally.
They're going, we're going to fix the problem. So do your searches on the MLS. Do not put them over on these Zillows and whatever. Because if someone does delayed marketing for however long they do it, they're not going to get it if they're over there. So do it. And everybody is just trying to protect theirs. Which I'm not blaming them for because that's human nature, don't we all?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it's what's best for the consumer.
Totally.
And what I'm always trying to do is go, okay, I understand why you're doing that. I don't blame you. When I say those kind of things, I'm not saying that's terrible. You got a business model that you're trying to defend.
Totally.
We've all been there, right? But then I got to kind of like back off. I got to zoom out of the video editing a little bit, look at the whole thing and go, is that best for the consumer? How did that change anything other than save you, you know? And so I think I agree with you. It's like, that's kind of what Compass is doing. They're saying, here's your options.
Yeah.
The problem with innovation or with changes or whatever is that, you're going to have bad actors. You're going to have people who go in, don't explain it correctly, just try to keep it for themselves, no doubt about it.
Totally.
But, I mean, is it our job to really go and police every potential issue, every potential, It's like, you don't make laws for people who follow them.
Right. Look at all the Sitzer-Burnett settlements, the litigation, that whole mess of last year. Like, this is why this is a big deal, right? Because there's a plaintiff's attorney somewhere who's thinking, ooh, interesting. Look at all these homes that aren't going to get the largest audience. And here's an industry of people claiming to be fiduciaries, and yet they didn't get this property in front of as many potential buyers as possible.
Right.
It's just kind of, interesting, right?
Yeah.
So there's always a tension between, like, how do we get the highest and best?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. How do we expose it to as many people as possible?
If that's the seller's goal.
If that's the seller's goal, right? The seller might
We always
just
assume
say,
it is. There's a reason investors exist. The reason why investors are able to get properties at 60 to 70% of ARV in many cases is because everyone's number one motivation is not always price.
Right.
And we always think it is. We're like, well, that's got to be. You got to get the most. That's 99% of them.
Yeah.
But the reason investors exist is because sometimes people want ease. Sometimes people want to get out quick. Sometimes people don't. There's so many other things at play. And whenever we say, like, this is the one thing, and if you're not doing that, then it's just like, there's just a part of me that always kind of fights back and goes, I just think it's more nuanced than that.
It is. So here's the thing. Like, you used the word zoom out a little while ago. I love that, because when we zoom out, there's always going to be an NAR settlement, a Sitzer-Burnett thing, a clear cooperation issue. There's always going to be something that's like a flashing red light that we all have to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And if you're working day to day in this industry, that can be tremendously stressful, right? There's a reason 80% of agents say, I'm out during their first year, and 87% churn every 5 years, right? This is a stressful career choice.
Oh, 100.
And so, like, pro tip of the day, whatever that issue is, find a way to start conversations with the people in your community about it. You do not have to have all the answers as an agent.
That's right.
You just have to be the person who's willing to have the conversation.
Don't ignore the conversations.
Right? Do not ignore the conversation. You've got to get out there and get in the mix. You don't have to be right. We don't have to agree.
Yeah.
That's always totally fine. What you can't do is exclude yourself and let other people decide and expect to have a seat at the table at the same time.
Dan, you
can't
haven't found in the relationships in your life that if you just avoid issues, it just
doesn't
goes
that
away?
always work? Yeah.
I've been wondering why that hasn't worked out.
Yeah,
I found when there's an issue, I turn around, walk the other way, and wait long enough.
Yep.
Then I come back in a couple days, and if it's still a problem,
our youngest child is 16 years old, right? So only 2 more years till she turns 18, and I get to finally meet her. Because, like, why would I want to be part of any of that stuff? Like, you've got to be there. It's not always easy.
Totally.
Right? It's not always fun, and yet it's what it is.
Willingness
right?
to have the convo.
You got to jump in with both feet. So.
Guys, and by the way, we're not going to go here now, but there's such a larger convo. When you look at Compass, essentially kind of like trying to avoid the MLS in some way on a small level, Kobe Hanna, who I know well, he's a friend. I've done work with Howard Hanna for years. They're pissed about the settlement. And I don't blame them. You know, they're like you paid out and covered everybody except for us largest ones who actually pay all your bills, like the ones who are over $2 billion in sales volume. But I also understand why NR couldn't. Like, I understand both sides. But Hobie came out this week and basically was like, "Why do we need the MLS?" You know, and so you start getting enough of these large companies that say screw the MLS and they just go to the portals.
Right.
Now, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
And so these MLSs got to be careful.
They've got to be very careful.
Look around the country at the way different markets have managed this. Like, probably one of the best MLSs in the country is HAR. Like, Houston Association of Realtors has just a phenomenal legacy, really.
Didn't he just retire?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did, and I mean, what a wonderful legacy that he's left, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure if this is accurate today, but I know that for the longest time, HAR was the only MLS in the country that outranked Zillow for search. Like, that is where people in the community start their real estate search. They're not going to Zillow.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Right? Yeah, it's really interesting. So
This goes to show you in an area you give if you're the best, you give them the best option.
Right.
Yeah, and the amount of innovation that his stewardship
I feel
allowed.
Like every tech founder I know was working with them in some way.
There's so many synergies, so many cool things to see there. So
Was that Bob Hale?
Exactly. Bob's legacy is really unique in the industry.
Yeah.
He created a culture that attracted people who were rowing together towards excellence as the outcome.
Yeah.
Right? And you see it in every segment of the organization.
Yeah.
The way that they bring up leaders in the association. They prepare people for larger roles over time.
Yeah.
the way that they interface with the community and that they're involved, and they create forums for discussion to actually take place to provide meaningful value, right? Because if you think about the difference, the role between, the brokerage, your job, help your agents stand out, give them a competitive advantage in the marketplace. The association's role is to knock all of those down and create a level playing field that, the tide that lifts all boats, right? So that tension is really healthy. And I think, if you look at NAR and just the intellectual property of something like Realtor.com. Realtor.com, right? Not as a portal, but just as a name.
As a name,
Like, wow. I don't think the value of that intellectual property was really understood then. But just thought experiment. Imagine what it would be like if you take the genius of Bob Hale with the branding of Realtor.com, and you had a national portal that was the MLS, really were in the right way.
That's the question right now, is whether that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And by the way, homes.com.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
I mean, if we were to sit down
Realty.com.
15 years ago, if we were to sit down and I was going to say, here we go, guys. I got two options. We are going to dominate home search in this country. And on the left here, I have homes.com. And on the right, I have Zillow.
You have what?
Tell me
Willow? What is that thing?
999 out of 1,000 times that you are not going with homes.com. And what that drives home is the execution.
Totally.
It's the execution, right? How many founders spend so much time? Name. And it's like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's execution.
It's execution.
It's execution.
And it's like the hook. It's the smartest hook in the world. As a tech entrepreneur, you think of, okay, what are the really good examples of a new brand launching with a viral component, right? Probably Dropbox comes to mind, right? Remember, we all used to do that. Oh, we get more free storage if we share Dropbox, right? Well, what did Zillow do? I remember driving down the road, listening to the radio, and I hear this little news article about some new company where anyone in America can type in their address and see what their home is worth. Ooh. I'm like, I got to remember that name. I want to try that, right? What a brilliant hook that was. And I mean, love it or hate it, right?
Well, here's the thing. Everybody hated it, but it was just like, what did you hate? Like, like, it's inaccurate. Did you want it to be accurate?
That's exactly where I'm
going.
going.
It's accurate, you're out of business.
It
was a marketing ploy. It was to pull people in. Main revenue was for you. Now, you could be pro, against Zillow, whatever. But if you're making the argument that you were pissed off because their Zestimates were inaccurate, what is the alternative? You know what I mean? At this point, we're just complaining. Like,
it's a genius level move.
Yes.
And like, here's a challenge for everybody, right? Do this. This is fun. Log into ChatGPT, right? And then take a picture of a house or grab a screenshot of a listing. Just get the picture of the front of the home. Load it into ChatGPT and say, what can you tell me about this property, right? Question mark. Send it in. And it's going to give you the most interesting answer.
How insane is that?
It is going to do that. It is going to give you the most interesting answer. And I'll put this out there. That answer is an argument for why the real estate professional will always continue to exist.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
do you guys use? It's so funny. My wife posted on ChatGPT. She didn't post on ChatGPT. My wife just posted on Instagram, and she wrote. So first off, she renamed her ChatGPT. We both have the paid versions because I'm just like searching this thing like crazy, using it like crazy. Like, you know, I've had people message me, how come you're not talking more about this? Because I don't talk about things I haven't mastered yet. Like, isn't it amazing we're in a culture where it's like, well, you're good at talking, tell us about. Yeah. They don't even care whether you know about it, right? So we're both at that point with the paid. And she posted this thing with her, like, loving with this thing here. When Jared James today is unavailable, Knox, a.k.a. ChatGPT, is my next best. She renamed it Knox something or other. It was some kind of a name. It was a great name. I'm a little jealous, to be honest. It sounds like a very attractive 6'5" man.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So way shorter than you.
Yeah. It's something I am
naturally.
I am Knox 6'5". All right. So anyway, I'm curious from you guys. How active are you guys right now
with things like ChatGPT and like, you know, when AI and whatever, but let's just get specific. ChatGPT, okay? Now, I know Facebook just released their Meta AI, and I've been playing around on it, and like that's their version of whatever, right? Are you guys active right now on ChatGPT?
Super active.
He's very active.
Yeah, super active. And anyone who's not, quite frankly, you're leaving yourself behind.
Dude, it's,
you
it's
need
crazy.
to embrace it with both hands, and you also need to recognize what this really represents.
Yeah.
You know, there's few generations of people who get to be alive to see the sort of things we've seen.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's astounding to be alive at the birth of AI and the widespread adoption, and to also have been alive to see the birth of social media and its widespread, and also to be alive at the birth of the internet. It's like, it's crazy that this lifetime gets to witness all of these things, and it's a real pivotal point, right? So for 15 years now, I've been writing content and measuring its effect for our members. And most recent check, we had about 42 million contacts loaded into Happy Grasshopper. That's a ton of messaging that we're sending all the time, right? And think about that. Like, if you're using MailChimp or something, you send something out, you get your open rate, you know, you're trying to understand what that data is telling you so you can make good decisions about what you might send next. So when the data set gets so large, there's no human being who can look at that data and say, oh, I know exactly what it's telling me. It'll make good decisions, right? So the first thing you think of when you think artificial intelligence today, I think, is generative AI. Like, you can have ChatGPT write the lyrics to a rap song, you know? You can have it come up with a great beat. Like, it is amazing to think what it can do there. And yet, when you ask it to write, like, drip content, you know, write this email, try it. You'll see. It's going to say, I hope this email finds you well, as the first sentence almost every time. Like, anybody who's in there a lot, you're like, oh, this smells like ChatGPT, you know, right? So that's generative AI. There's also analytical AI. So you can take, like, that massive data set like we have, and you can feed it into the AI.
This is what my wife does all the time.
You can feed that data in, and you can say, help me understand the meaning of this massive data set, right? And wow, it is absolutely astounding, because you see my energy change here. I am so in my geek spot right now. I just absolutely love this stuff, because about 10 years ago, we built something in our software we affectionately call Queen Bee Reporting. There's a great book called Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz, and he talks about the most important bee in the beehive is the queen bee, right? That's the one job that matters. If the queen dies, the hive dies, right? Is the most important job. And so I thought, well, what's our most important job? It's being able to create and deliver messaging that works. And to do that, we need a reporting engine that can really understand what's actually working. So we built Queen Bee Reporting, where a human being can now get in there and say, show me the messages that got the highest open rate. Show me the messages that got the most replies. Show me what, you know, people selected the most but performed the worst. Like, you want to try to understand all that. Well, using that and developing that over a period of about 10 years, I thought we were really good, right? I thought we had it nailed. And now when I take that massive data set and I load it in,
my time building this
like,
Queen Bee.
It's, to me, it's miraculous. It doesn't feel like a waste. We had like a metal detector, you know, we were like trying to find something, and now we're going, we know exactly where that buried Rolex is.
And by the way,
Let's go
not only
pick it up.
now you can use that, but how many people now have it right under their nose and they're still not using it?
It's true.
That's why I asked the question, because so my wife, everybody watching knows Linda, who's on here a lot of times. You guys look nothing like her. And,
she's from that movie you mentioned, Aladdin.
I think it's
I Can Show You the World.
Yes, she is. Yes, she does. She does look just like Jasmine. Okay. I told someone the other day, I said I never thought I'd actually get to be married to the person I was in love with from Aladdin, and then the guy. I was talking about the girl, Jasmine. But no, it's very true. But it's like she's become obsessed. Like, she's constantly sending me stuff. She'll have messages come in from people. And she asks it. She talks to it all the time. That's why she renamed it. It's almost weird. This guy's competing with me. And she'll ask it, like, can you analyze this? Can you, whatever? And literally it'll be like, this sounds like a narcissist that did whatever. What they're trying to whatever is do. And what
crazy.
they're going to do is that, and it's just like you look at it and you're like, what the heck? Like it's unreal.
I have an example. Like ChatGPT should be your search engine today, right?
Right.
Like that's really where you start. So yesterday, as I'm flying in, right, I'm texting you guys. Hey, I'm stuck on the tarmac. They just announced it's going to be about 45 minutes to an hour until we take off. They didn't tell us why, right? So I opened ChatGPT on my phone. I'm like, I'm trying to fly out of Tampa, stuck on the tarmac, this airline, this flight number, any idea what's going on? And it gives me paragraphs of detailed information about the cascading weather delay that's happening, that's causing us to be delayed, even though the weather here was great and the weather there was great.
Yeah.
Like you would literally talk to your airline and they'd be like, I don't know, it's some kind of whatever. But you go talk to that sucker and it's just
spits it out.
Yeah. So I gotta put this in a little package here for a moment because change is stressful. There's existential dread out there. There are people right now who are going, oh my God, AI is gonna like take away my livelihood. I'm screwed. And we all have that same trite little saying like, oh, it's not AI that's going to take your job. It's the person using AI that's going to take your job. That doesn't make you feel better. Yeah. That doesn't help, right? It doesn't help. And so think about your web experience when today, you know, oh, this thing isn't working the way it is. Like you have a chat with an AI, you don't even know it's an AI. Like you've seen the Google AI make phone calls that are so realistic and convincing. It's having conversations using a human voice. You don't even know it's not real, right? So put your existential dread hat on for a moment and ask yourself, what's my role as a real estate professional in this future reality?
By the way, I'm listening. I'm going to show you something as soon as you're done.
Okay, all right, yeah. Well, I mean, so this idea, this sense of, you know, the bots are taking over everything. They're displacing the role of a sales professional. So I wrote my book, Seriously Human Selling, on this topic because I think we've got this moment in time where all of us are going, okay, there's something new, it's really important, and we don't really understand yet where we're going to fit in long term. So I think it's a unique time in history where we have a choice. Yeah. We need to stand up and say, as a human being, I matter to other human beings.
Right.
And rather than like being that salesperson of yesterday that's totally expert at manipulation and fear of lost closes and scarcity tie downs, we've got to be more human. Mm-hmm. Like we've got to show up as a person who helps other people get what they want a lot more quickly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
So this to me is just a fascinating time to be alive. And
dude, it's freaking incredible.
It
man.
is amazing.
Like, it is. Can you imagine? Can you imagine having a kid in college right now that's in for graphic design? Yeah. Change your major immediately. Like immediately. Yeah. Like it is. We were in. I'm going to show you guys something here. We were just. My wife met me in Portugal, and she literally. I hear her talking to it, and she's like, "Hey, we're getting in at blank. Can you give us an itinerary from this place to that place? We're going to be in for this many hours. What places to hit along the way? So we hit everything in Cincinnati, you know, whatever. And she pumps back out this thing. Stop here at this time. This is the best, whatever. If you go over to this, it gives you this whole whatever. Yeah. Like, it's like an assistant. Like, this is insane. It's only really better, cool. Right? But here's the cool thing. What were you going to say?
She talks to it.
Oh, 100%.
I don't. Yeah. I've tried that. I don't like it. I don't want it talking back to me either.
She renamed it.
I like to text it. That's what I like to do.
No, she talks to it and called it a name now. It wouldn't understand ChatGPT. It's Knox whatever.
There's a thing. Like, for most of us, when we're talking, we're kind of like figuring it out as we say it. This is not the most polished sentence a human being can speak right now. It just isn't. It's in my head and it's out of my mouth.
Oh, we know, Dan.
Clearly. But that's one of the beautiful things about being a writer is in the process of writing, you get a chance to take that kind of like stream of consciousness and hone it into something. And I promise you, if you really engage with ChatGPT sincerely over a period of time, if you have conversations with it where you're feeding it really good communication, what you get back is really good communication. Right. Like it's a mirror, essentially. Yeah. Garbage in, garbage out is not just for accounting. It's for ChatGPT too.
Yeah,
absolutely,
no
it does.
So check this out. Did you guys see that Meta released along with Meta AI, they released the translation of voices.
No, I don't think I saw that.
This is gold for me.
Really?
So I had heard for a while that they were going to have the ability to take your videos and then transcribe them and make your voice move and make it speak in that language over whatever. And I'm like, well, it looks like we're going to create a Jared James Portugal, a Jared James Italy, a Jared James France, a Jared James whatever. But when they actually released it, which I now have with every video I release, it literally says on here, translate your voice with Meta AI. Translate your voice with Meta AI, add lip syncing. How many languages do you want? Do you want this to default from now on?
Amazing.
Every video I put out now. So like a lot of you are watching, you're like, oh, he's in English, whatever.
Hola.
I have people in Russia who think I'm Russian.
Yeah.
Because the video shows up there, my lips lip sync. I talk Russian.
Yeah.
And you think I'm Russian.
Yeah. And it's
and
actually your voice, like descript.
Yes, and it's
right?
happening automatically. And it changes everything because, okay, so a lot of people listening right now hear that and they go, well, that's great, Jared. We don't talk to the world. We got right here. Well, how many languages are in your local market?
Right.
Do you know how many times I get asked? I get asked at a Q&A recently at an event, and a lady was bilingual. She spoke Spanish. She spoke English. She also spoke something else. But she's like, Jared, what do I do? They used to ask me, do I create multiple accounts? Do I do like, what do I, and I used to be like, well, yeah, you got to kind of whatever. Now, you turn that on, and whatever their settings are for what they speak, it talks to them as if you're talking to them.
Yeah.
So cool.
And now when you meet with them, you just talk the language they're talking. It gets already the language.
Yep.
And you can select. You don't have to do like me that goes all languages. You just go on there and you go Portuguese, Spanish, whatever your thing is.
Yeah.
And now the people in your area, locally, who speak Spanish, who speak, your video shows up natively.
It
to
is
them.
so cool.
That is insane.
It's cool.
I'm sorry, go
No,
ahead.
go for it, Dan. Please.
Somebody.
Yesterday, I was showing you, like in our software, we're doing something very similar.
Totally.
You create an email, a text message, a ringless voicemail drop.
Yeah.
Like you use the AI to understand the data from sending everything. You get the script exactly right. You've got words that work.
Yeah.
Boom, you know it's going to work. And then you write, my client's Korean, can you translate it to that? And whoosh, off it goes. Or like any language you can think of, it's instantly changed. And we've got that built right in. It's just so amazing. What an amazing time to be alive.
it is.
How can you not be excited
Dan,
about this?
anybody who knows me knows how often I get my hair cut.
I recently learned that.
I got my hair cut in Turkey by a man who did not speak English. And I was nervous, like you don't eat. And I jumped right on there, and it's talking to him. We're going back and forth. I'm doing it all right through there. And the man did an amazing job. So much that I'm wearing a hat.
Did you get the whole? I've seen the whole Turkish haircut thing. Did they do the whole?
He tried.
Face massage, the wacky.
Massage. You can put wax in my ears and my nose. I just
really?
got to,
Wow.
just tell him to cut my hair. Like, whatever. Like he was trying to do all the other things.
Yeah.
I was gonna leave there.
So you're not a when in Rome guy.
No, if I did everything he wanted, I was going to leave there with child. Like we were going to wonder if it was a boy or a girl. He was getting awfully handsy.
Oh,
That's
I
all
see.
I'm saying.
It is good to see your eyebrows are growing back
you know
in,
what?
though.
His hands are
That's
in my
nice.
ears. They're over here. They're doing whatever.
Yeah.
Do you want this? Do you want that? It's. Again, I have a great joke. I'm not going to tell. But it was interesting. Okay. Regardless, the point is, it's like this stuff is. You make the joke about you're not going to be eliminated, but you will be by somebody. It's a joke, but it's also true.
Yeah, it's
and so
trite.
For the people,
my point is, it doesn't make you feel better.
No, 100.
It's not that it's not accurate.
Correct.
It just doesn't make you feel better.
But for the people watching and listening who hear that, there's one way to sit there and hear that and relate to that and go, he's so right, and then move on. You lose. You need to hear that and hear the message of that, though.
Totally.
Which is just nobody's watching you do it. Nobody sees how you're doing it. Just go start messing around. Yeah. You're like, my wife is constantly talking to Knox, and just, okay, how about this? And what about this? And I was on the other day, and what would have taken a team of 3 people on my marketing team to create these graphics I was going to do for these slides and this and that, whatever. I literally jumped on and started talking to it. And then it came back with some options, and I said, pull that to the front, do more of this, do da-da-da.
Yep.
Within 6 minutes.
Done.
I did what a team of 3 would have taken a week to get back to me.
Right.
And that's why I made the comment I did where I said, if your kid is in school for graphic design right now, get them the hell out.
Oh, God.
Because that's almost as bad as a political science degree.
Yeah.
Like, it's over.
Yeah.
Like,
Can I drop
there's
some
nothing.
apps?
Yeah.
What's that?
Can I drop some apps?
Some apps?
Yeah. Gamma.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought you said, "Can you draw some maps?" And I'm like,
Hello, Jared.
Knox, if you could draw a map.
No, but Gamma AI.
Oh, Gamma AI is amazing.
you
for
put
slides.
you put an outline in, and there's your PowerPoint,
Dude.
right? And if you don't like it, you just tell it.
Yeah.
And it's better.
We're gonna drop some of these, I think, at the advance. Like we're gonna drop these now, but I'm thinking at the advance, we're gonna just the world we live in right now.
Yeah.
We just are going to have to like just letting people know. Here's the things you start with. Just go screw up.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna shout out some buddies here, right?
Okay.
So Glenn Sanford, founder of EXP, like
yeah.
super great guy. Seth Siegler, chief innovation officer there at EXP.
Yep.
I was at EXPCon in Montreal a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And they took time at that conference to have like a code off, like let's all get in the room and create some new stuff. And using a tool called lovable.ai, which maybe you've played around with this, maybe you haven't yet.
The Turkish guy tried to use it on me.
So
Jared's barber.
in lovable.ai, you can describe a software application you would like to have, and it's going to literally build it for you.
Dude.
Like,
So I was literally going to say before,
it's
not only
crazy.
graphic design, I think it's a tough time to be in coding.
Yeah.
Like, so, because like, I have people who show up on my TikTok, and what he does every day is in less than 60 seconds, he lets people pick a company, and then he uses ChatGPT to rebuild the code and the website.
It's nuts.
The one he did the other day was Airbnb. This multi-billion-dollar company of this whatever. He, in less than 60 seconds, showed the prompts to rebuild the code, the website, everything. There it was.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're going,
Right.
oh, God.
Yeah.
Like, there are some things that just became commodities.
Right.
Okay, so we got to slow down here a little bit because that, back to existential dread, pace of change. You hear about things like Moore's law, and it can get so easy to feel like where's humanity in the face of this. But let's go back in time, right? There was a time where if you wanted to write something down, you had a hammer and chisel, right? And that took forever. And then there's a time when the printing press came, and whoosh, you could.
Yeah.
That didn't mean, okay, now that letters and words are so easy to put down, that they were the right letters or words, right?
Correct. There's still
so
a place,
it's like the wisdom of humanity
Correct.
is what makes the difference here. So what if it can build an application? If it's
Correct.
going to be a good, copy something, that's easy. You just Xeroxed Airbnb.
Yeah.
Big deal.
Yeah.
That's not the magic creative energy of, oh, I've got this problem, I need to solve it.
Yeah.
So I really don't feel like there's going to be a replacement for that
Yeah.
human spark of genius. It's just that we can go from the idea to the execution so much more quickly now.
Yeah.
I mean, that is just miraculous.
Dan, when the tractor was invented in the U.S., over 90% of people worked on farms. How do you think they felt about that?
Yeah.
Not so
Well,
good.
They're going, wait a second, these are our jobs.
Yeah.
This tractor is going to, no, get this thing out of here.
Right.
And yet what we've shown over and over again, what makes us better than AI, makes us better than technology, makes us better at, what did we say before, the pivot?
The pivot.
The pivot.
Right.
We understand that go after the pivot.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So where does this, I've said for years, the role of technology was to free us up to do the things we should have been doing all along, right?
Right.
It doesn't replace you. It makes you better if you understand it.
Yeah, it makes you better, makes you a lot more efficient. But like speaking to the everyday real estate agent, right? From the AI expert, Mr. Dan Stewart.
I don't know that's appropriate, but I'll take it.
How should someone
No.
I'll date it for a little while. I'm not going to marry that, but I'll date it.
how should someone who is not necessarily using AI day to day, maybe they play around a little bit here and there, but they're not using it from a practical business perspective. Like they're still doing their PowerPoints by hand. They're still writing their MLS descriptions, from the heart. So how should someone really start to dip their toes in as a very novice AI person? In your professional recommendation, like how should you be using AI as a real estate agent right now to become more and more familiar with AI as it continues to grow and scale?
Yeah, so there have been a number of startups where, like for example, you use the example of listing descriptions, right? So I'll have a startup that all it does is write listing descriptions via AI. That's going to be great. And that's, to me, is an example of that momentary thing. It was so great for just that one little brief moment.
That's what the
right?
whole
And
industry
then
was obsessed with.
And then it's like gone.
And they
poof.
all sounded the same, by the way, too.
Right? Yeah. So what I would say for that novice, that person who gets in there, just create an account. It's what, $20 a month?
Now you can get a free account. $20 is
you
the
can
pro.
get but for $20
Yeah.
a month, I think the depth of memory you get, the amount of conversations you can have, before you're trying to use it just for a work solution, I think you need to kind of learn the environment a little bit. So I'll give you an example from my personal life, right? I was telling Jared this earlier at the gym. When I'm doing my cardio, I'm on the treadmill, you know, I got my incline, I'm walking miles. That's a great time to just have a little conversation with ChatGPT, right? Yeah. So I've got my Apple Fitness, my watch connected. I'm funneling my data into ChatGPT, and I'm saying, you know, how am I doing? What adjustments can I make? What do you suggest I change in my workout routine to create a better result? Like, take whatever it is you're interested in and just start to have a conversation with it.
Interesting, yeah.
And I'll give you an example. My buddy Sean Murphy recently had his 30th wedding anniversary. And he asked ChatGPT, like, what should we do for our wedding anniversary? Like, what should we do? Yeah. And, you know, he had his GPT trained through conversations with him to know enough about him, his interests, his wife's interests, to where it suggested this wonderful trip for them. And, you know, he's like, this is genius. This actually looks like it's going to be amazing. So he gets the thing booked. His wife is overjoyed, like this is the best, you know, anniversary celebration ever.
Of me.
Yeah, and he goes, you know what that did is help me be a better version of myself in that scenario. Yeah, I just think that is so cool, right? It's so neat. So before you're trying to just be like real mercenary with it, of I need to be more efficient, I need to be faster, stronger, better, I need to be more profitable, just start feeding it in some things you're curious about, right? Have some conversations with it where you've got some data from your life that you can copy and paste, load it in. In fact, I've got a great example right now. One of my employees, great guy, like, I mean, just great guy, individual human being I can be super proud of. And yet he's not performing at the level he expects to or I expect him to, right? So whatever our performance is, there's an explanation for that. Like, our businesses are perfectly designed to get the results they're getting without fail. So I thought, well, I need help understanding why this person isn't performing as well. So we use an app called Gong that records all of our interactions with our members. Every Zoom call is recorded and stored automatically, and Gong has its own built-in AI that's supposed to coach and give tips. But in my experience, it's not really that great, honestly. It's nice to have the recordings. So I took the recorded link and the transcript from several of his calls. I loaded it into ChatGPT alongside the recordings and transcripts of people who are performing better. And I asked it to help me help this person achieve their potential, right? Yeah. That would take hours and hours and hours of detailed attention and detailed analysis to get to. And the GPT helps us get there so quickly and so efficiently.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's just super cool.
When I just came back, as you know, I just came back from a European tour, and it throws you off. Hours, time zones, foods you're not familiar with. Is there a gym? Is there not a gym? Is there time to even do this? Is there, all this stuff? I'm coming back, and I said, hey, I've been out on the road for the last couple of weeks. I haven't been able to be in my routine that I'm usually in. I need to feel fit in the next week, when I get back. Can you give me a sample in graph format for the next 7 days of the type of eating plan I should be on and why I should do that? And went into this whole detailed and whatever, and it shot me back a thing based on your agenda. I would block off this time, make sure you're spending a time in here. Here's your food, whatever, that will give you the proper protein based on the things you eat and do whatever. It kicks out all this kind of stuff in a graph format each day.
Crazy.
That you used to pay a trainer and make them, they get to know you, they ask you questions, they do whatever, and they make you a plan. And you're like, this is amazing. I could never pay enough money for this. This is now I just talk to this freaking thing, and
it kicks it all out
Yeah.
for me. You know, it's absolutely amazing.
Hey guys, if you are a broker, if you're a team leader, if you're someone who has people under you who really rely on the tools that you want them to use, that you know they'll be better because of it, if you're watching this episode, you have heard us talk a lot about this thing called StackWrap. You've probably never heard me talk about it before, but you're going to hear it a lot moving forward. And let's face it, there's a frustration in our industry when you have people who you're trying to provide things to them, you're investing in them, and you're buying these tools, but they're just not using them. They don't know where to find them. We all get frustrated by the bookmarks. Bookmarks are an amazing thing to some point, to some extent, and yet we now have a way to put things in one place, make it easy, and not only make it easy for people to use the tools we're providing to them, but also to know which ones they're actually using, which is super cool. So if you're a broker, a team leader, you need to check out StackWrap.com. You can either sign up immediately, or you can just go and do a consult, whatever it is. And I think StackWrap is one of those things where we see that things don't have to be super complicated in order for them to work. Easy works as well. And if you want people to use the things that you're providing, go check out StackWrap.com. You know, on that note, I want to transition a little bit and get to a little more lighthearted stuff. Not that this has been heavy or anything. Not like Dan used to be.
Hey.
I'm here all night. Take my life, please. I just flew in from Dallas. My arms are killing me. I could keep going, by the way.
Please don't.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Parents thought I was a treasure. They tried to bury me when I was born.
Mr. Dangerfield.
All right, yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. All right, so let's move on here. For you guys, both entrepreneurs, both married, what's the ideal date night?
Oh, I can tell you.
Yeah, have at it.
It's a Friday night.
Okay. Oh, a specific day.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, come on. Done
Come
with
on,
work.
come
Wait,
on.
isn't Friday Realtor Monday?
I got Joe Biden over here now. Come on.
Sometimes.
Come on.
No, my wife and I have a standing date night on the calendars. As much as we can do it every single week, we try to. So
With
it's
each other or someone else?
with each other.
Okay, that's good. That's healthy.
Usually.
That's healthy.
But Friday night, it's a gin martini, preferably a Hendrick's gin martini.
Let's go.
It's an order of French fries.
Dude, me and my wife do the French fry thing.
Come on now.
Yeah.
And it's oysters. But the thing that I've learned over the years is that oysters you can only eat them. I mean, you can kind of eat them year round, but the best time to eat them are months that end in ER.
By the way, not where I thought that was going.
Months with an R in it. In Florida, this is a thing.
Yeah.
Because
Months that end with an ER.
ER.
Like December, November.
have an R. Like,
September
because
and
January, the water's cold enough, you're not going to get sick.
Mm-hmm.
But in May, the water's warm enough to where the bacterial
That's right.
count in those oysters is
Okay.
high enough to
All right.
your toast.
Yeah.
Do you have a specific place you go to?
Any sort of steakhouse. There are a few in Manhattan Beach that we love.
Oh, a steakhouse.
Yeah. I'm taking a page out of the Jared
I don't know what
James
you're talking
Academy book,
about.
Yeah.
The house of steak.
You're
Yeah.
talking about Outback? Steakhouse?
A little bit
Texas Roadhouse? Yeah. That's
Yes,
exactly
Texas
Don't
Roadhouse.
get
That's
me
right.
started. We'll be here another 2 hours.
you don't get me started.
Yeah, but that is our ideal date night. It's a gin martini, it's French fries, it's oysters.
Gin martini. I haven't seen you pull one of those yet.
Not yet. I'm saving it
Maybe
for.
tonight. Maybe at Bin's.
It's not a Friday night. Well, tonight is a
It is
Friday.
Friday.
night.
It's literally a Friday night.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is. I don't know when this
Are you
comes
guys
out.
going on a date tonight?
We are. Yeah.
Tell your wife
A man
she's
date.
been replaced.
We are going on a man date,
Yeah,
Jared.
that is
me
a
and you.
mandate.
Yeah.
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 Wow. All
Yeah,
right.
but that's my ideal. What about you, Dan? What's your ideal
So,
date night?
my brilliant wife introduced me to the Candlelight Concert. Have you been to one
Yeah,
of these?
yeah.
I
Th-
have
this
not,
is
no.
so great. We've been to probably 4 or 5 of them now. It's awesome because it's about 45 minutes to an hour, and it's not the kind of concert where you just came back from Coachella, right? I mean, there's a difference between a music festival and 45 minutes.
We didn't even get into that.
like-
This man just came back from Coachella.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, Mr. Serious Entrepreneur, we just changed your brand right there. You were there supervising.
That's right.
That's right.
I was the responsible
Well,
one.
he's
out of
the
my
youngin' in the
friends.
group, let's be honest,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, yeah, all right.
Yeah, so candlelight concert, a nice dinner before or after, and in bed by, say, 6:30. That's just perfect.
6:30?
Yeah.
I hope you're talking about AM.
Yeah, God, no. I'm just,
He's kidding, 7 o'clock.
I'm reflecting on my Steve Martin
6:45.
hairdo here.
God.
Yeah, no, I generally don't need a lot of sleep.
Yeah.
5 hours is about all I'm going to get, all I want. So, but seriously, I am up every day, usually between 3 and 4, and I'm off to the gym.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be out super late. So
Don't you find the older you get, it used to be about how late can you stay out. Now it's like how early can I get into bed.
You know,
That's not the rule
like
tonight. Just
so we're talking earlier about like those friendships that you cherish. You know, my buddy Rob, coming to visit next month, right? It's like so connected to that because I don't need to be out all night to have a great time. I don't need to drink so much I'm wrecked the next day. Like, I want to enjoy a great meal, some great conversation. I want to spend time with people I really care about. Like, that's fantastic. So I don't need the candlelight concert to have a great day night. I don't need the dinner to be amazing, right? But I definitely need to make sure that we've got some time set aside for each other. Like, it's so easy just to go blink. Oh my God, like we're about to be married for 30 freaking years. I can't even imagine I'm saying that.
Wow. Bless her.
I don't feel anywhere near old enough to say I'm going to be married for 30 years. But
it made sense to us. I think we all said that made sense. I think it adds up.
That's awesome, Dan. That's really cool.
I mean, don't be a nice guy after I just took a shot. Okay.
You're gonna be like, man, that guy in the middle is super
ChatGPT.
nice.
Can we eliminate him from this podcast like it never happened? It's just okay.
Craziness.
All right.
But hey, we got to be serious about that for a moment because
Getting rid of him?
You drop something out there like 30 years. 30 years of marriage doesn't happen by accident, right?
Totally.
And it's not all easy. It's like when things are going well, it seems easy. Right? But, you know, maybe 10% of the time, your marriage, your relationship, your business, it's going to ask to be paid in a way you can't even expect or imagine.
Totally.
And, you know, it's whether you decide to show up then and really, you know, work through those things. Like, that's it. And just like, you know, our friendship is what, 14, 15 years old now, something like that?
I'm terrible with dates, but
I mean, so it was Grindr in what year that we met?
Grindr. Wow.
That's the running joke. People are like, how did you guys meet?
By the
We
way,
always
it's the
just
running
say
joke
Grindr.
only he tells. I just want to be clear.
Well,
it probably is. I'm honestly, I'm terrible with dates, like absolutely terrible. But it's probably
was-
something around then.
so I started Happy Grasshopper late 2010, and we met
It would've
on
been
the
that
show
same-
circuit like
It would have been that same time.
2010, 11,
Yeah, it would have been that
12,
because you had
somewhere right in
you
there.
had just started.
We were brand new, and you were like,
Yeah.
I mean, look at video from this dude from back then,
Don't
right?
do that.
It's,
Do
it's
the
a whole
opposite.
different thing.
Do the
It's
opposite.
a whole different
I don't
thing.
think I've seen video.
I look like I starred in Home Alone,
Yeah.
the first one. Like it's.
And
it's,
I was just as gray then as I am now, right?
God. Yeah, exactly.
But-
He looked the same. You know, I was. Yeah, that's a compliment.
But seriously, I remember we met. I think it was the Explode
Tour,
conference.
yeah.
It was the Explode conference, and you know, you go on that conference, and usually there's like a bunch of local speakers that come in, and it's kind of like, oh my God, that person is vomiting backstage. They're so worried they're not going to get through this thing. Like they're terrified of it. And you know, so when Jared was up there, he was engaged and involved, and the audience learned something, and they laughed along the way.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, that's awesome. Like, you know, for a guy with a theater degree, like, you know how to get in front of an audience and tell a story and take them places, but I wasn't expecting to see that from other people on the Explode tour. And so, you know, after you went, I was like, dude, great job out there. That was, you're like Tony Robbins Jr.
You
that
did
was
say
great.
that actually
that
is
was
what
it.
he
Really?
said. Yeah, he
And
did.
that was the moment he
Mainly
fell in
'cause of
love
our
with
height.
me. He said, I'm going to be a friend of that man the rest of my life because he Tony Robbins Jr. 's
I said,
man."
please affirm me. I'm
Yep.
brand new. Anybody who told me something nice, friends for life.
I mean, so
kidding me?
much of our friendship is like the gut punch. You know, you gotta go there. a
I'm
little
learning
bit.
this.
It's good.
Oh, you
Yeah.
found out within 5 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I flew into town.
Nothing's off limits.
A couple of days ago, and Jared's friend, I sit down, or we're sitting down at the table.
You talking about Jim?
Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah, we sit down at the table, and then 10 minutes later, Jim shows up.
Yeah.
I've known Jim a couple of times. I've met him on a few Zoom calls. Great guy.
In a suit.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, but we just got through, you know, me asking about Jared's kids and wanting to see them on you know, the cell phone. So
Yep.
that was fun and awkward.
Privately asking it from them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that was cool. And-
Whispering
Not
in their
creepy
ear.
at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
No.
then Jim comes up to me. He's like, "Oh, Max, hey, nice to see you."
When do you leave?
Yeah. Hey, yeah. When are you leaving?
What's his opening question?
I'm like, "Yeah, no.
When do you leave?
Saturday, Jim.
God.
I'm only here for a couple of days, but
God, the best part of that whole dinner was Jim not knowing what kind of restaurant we're in. Are we in Japanese? Are we in Chinese? Are we in Korean? Are we in whatever? And the guy brings us over shots of sake because we've been there a few times. It's a new place. We're trying to support them, whatever. And Jim just, how do you say cheers in whatever? He says it right to the guy.
this is all a span of like 15 minutes.
And he thinks this is like a unique thing. This is every time we get together. It's
Yeah.
it's just lunacy.
Yeah.
We just
awesome.
laugh. Yeah, we just laugh and have fun and make fun of each other, and it's just a good time. Okay, next question. Who's your guys' favorite comedian?
Man, I'm gonna have such an underwhelming answer in this.
Okay.
Probably like Chris Rock. I don't know.
Why is that underwhelming? Like why?
I don't know. I don't follow a ton of comedians.
No?
Maybe I'm just a super dark guy, but
You're in LA. A lot of times that's where they like try stuff out.
yeah,
and you're
no,
not-
I appreciate good comedy. But hey, I'm a simple man. I'll take me some Chris Rock, some.
It's a disappointing answer.
It is. I told you. I set the stage for a disappointing answer, but probably Chris Rock.
That answer is kind of a smack to the face.
I know it is. Yeah.
Hence the
I was
Chris
kinda
Rock.
wishing you kind of wouldn't ask that question. That's
Pretty good.
Nobody
I
got
gotcha.
that.
I gotcha.
Nobody got the smack to the face.
Oh,
Will Smith.
no. Oh, yes, I do. I do know that reference.
God, if I have to explain it.
Yeah.
Good. Apparently, I'm not his favorite comedian. How about you, Dan?
Well, I know you're going to say Bill Cosby, so I don't want to. I don't want to say the same.
God.
Actually, for a lot of kids my age, Bill Cosby was like our dad.
Dude.
I mean, come on. He was
Dude.
the dad I wanted.
He did the pudding commercials. Again,
Yeah.
another joke I have, not for here.
Yeah.
He was doing the pudding commercials. He was like the guy. He was the guy that used to get mad at who was it? Because he was swearing too much. Was it
Eddie
Chris
Murphy.
Rock? Eddie Murphy.
Oh, yeah.
He
Right.
has the stories of like telling Eddie Murphy you're swearing too much.
Yeah.
You're da-da-da, whatever. Meanwhile,
Good
doing a little
old Jello
worse.
pudding.
Yeah,
he likes
seriously.
putting
Good old Jello pudding.
things
right.
where they don't belong.
That's right.
But seriously, as a kid,
He was, by the way, a great comedian.
Yeah.
My dad had his old his albums.
Yeah.
And I remember playing like "Why Is There Air?" and you
Yeah.
hear the chicken heart story over and over. And you're like,
Dude.
wow, that was so. I mean, wow.
Most
right?
of the comedians today, he was their idol, but none of them will
Yeah,
say
just-
it.
Just crazy.
It's kind of like the O.J. Simpson effect, one of the greatest running backs of all time.
That's right.
But once he did what he did, I'm sorry, allegedly,
Allegedly.
no longer he was a great running back. Nobody even talks about it. It's not even,
Well-
and it's kind of a similar thing where you have
Yeah.
one of the greats of all time, one of the greats of all time, you find out are terrible people, and they just get erased
Yeah.
from the record books, so to say.
What about recently, Kanye?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Well, I mean, so any scandal like this, like earlier, you're making the point about the 1%.
Yeah.
People know you as a speaker. It's less
Yeah.
than 1% of what you do.
Yeah.
Like, how do we think of Bill Cosby today? Right?
I don't think we do.
How do we think of Puff Daddy?
Right.
I mean, right? Like, we don't. We try not to. We
Yeah.
don't want to think about these things,
Everybody
right?
wants to know, did he do it?
Oh, here we go. Well, you were there.
I
mean, come on,
unlike
your
every
boy
celebrity
band
in Hollywood.
days.
I wasn't at any of those parties. It's like every interview you hear now, the question comes up at some point. So were you at any Puff? Like, look, 5 years ago, everybody's bragging. They're finding a way to tell you how they were invited to the white party by P. Diddy. Now, no, and if they were there, I'm gone by 10. I
Yeah.
don't have anything to do with
Yeah.
that.
I'm a responsible person.
Yes, I could tell something was off.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Like it's what did their publicists tell them to say? You know, it's amazing.
God.
Nobody was at those parties.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
It was two people.
Yeah.
That was it.
So to
Jay-Z, Beyonce, and P. Diddy. That was it.
answer your question,
Yes.
like favorite
I've been
comedian-
waiting.
Favorite comedian for me is a tough one because I really do appreciate. I love to laugh, right?
Yep.
All the roasts, like Jeff Ross. I
Oh,
mean,
dude.
come on, like there's so much ridiculously funny people. There's so many funny people out there with these great bits.
Yeah.
Nikki Glazer.
She's
Oh, she's
great.
come
I
on
mean,
lately, yeah.
come on. She absolutely crushed.
Yeah.
absolutely crushed at Tom Brady's roast.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
And since then as well, by the way, yeah.
Shane, is it
Gillis?
Gillis?
Shane
Oh
Gillis
my
is
God,
hilarious.
Shane Gillis is great. What a great storyteller.
Yeah.
So the things I appreciate about like the old Bill Cosby stuff,
Yeah.
the ability to tell a story, to
Yeah.
take people on a journey.
Yeah.
Shane has that.
Yeah.
Where you feel like you're
Yeah.
in his world, you're exposed. You can,
Yeah.
like he talks about his Uncle Danny.
Yeah.
Like we were joking around about this. Like he was touched by the Down
Touched by the
syndrome.
tism.
They'd winged him or something.
Yeah,
right?
he was touched by the tism.
He got it just a little bit.
And people go, how is he? And he's like, he's better than everyone.
Yeah, he's the happiest people I know. Yeah.
Which is so true, by the way. Like, so who's your number one?
I think what great comedians do is they bring people in, like they make it feel personal, and then they surprise you. You think they're going right, they go left, right? And so you look at the great roast comedians, and I love that because, like, again, most of our friendship is kind of like we're zinging each other all the time, which is great. I love that.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's stuff I love about both schools there, but do you see Nikki Glaser being that great storyteller?
Well, any comedian's a good storyteller, but that's not what she's known for.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but so okay, we'll go back to the hair here with Steve Martin. Like,
Which we were talking before this. People don't realize with Steve Martin, they all look at him now, and they think he's either the actor from this, or he's the father of the bride, or whatever. He's the original comedian doing arenas. You know, like he was the guy
He was a
who broke all
phenomenon.
those barriers.
Right.
Yeah, you know.
He really was.
Yeah, King Tut and SNL and like all these things. Like people, and then you see him in real life.
It was on the radio. Like I remember waiting to call in and ask them to play King Tut on the radio.
Dude, and there's a
it
part of
was-
him. There's a part of him I relate to so much. Not on the same level, but like in the sense that he goes and does that, and he's like so and he's off the wall. And then you talk to him, like people talk to him in real life, and he's just like, he's got this very stoic, quiet, introverted, like whatever side, and people are kind of like, what the heck, like what's going on?
Right.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he comes out, and he's a banjo player in a band, and he's doing whatever, and then he's doing.
Yeah.
He's just a
So
multifaceted.
he's
you
a
can't really
different
put him in
guy.
a box.
Right.
He's a different
know?
guy on stage.
Yeah.
Like Steve Martin filling arenas
Yes.
comedian. He was a wild and crazy
It's a
guy.
part of him, but it's not all of him.
He was that character
Yeah.
in that environment. Now
Yeah.
contrast that with like Shane Gillis.
Yeah.
Who you want to have a beer with.
Yeah.
You like that's your bro.
If you have a
feel
beer
like
with
you
Shane
know
Gillis,
that
you're having
guy.
14.
Yeah, I don't think I can
That's how
handle
he
that,
does
but-
it. That's how he does it. You know?
But it's a different sense. Like
Yeah.
these different eras of comedy. Think of Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Like his brain operating at a frequency nobody could even understand, and
God.
just pulling things together out of
that I get
absolutely
too. That's
nowhere.
Yeah.
And
Do you know who Nick Bailey? Do you know who we went and saw? We actually flew to L.A. just to go see Anthony Jeselnik.
Really?
Yeah. Just
what? Say that name again.
Anthony Jeselnik.
With less jizz in it.
No. Okay. Wow. Okay. There it is.
What's on your neck, Jared?
Yeah. I'm sorry, guys.
That's
I
gross.
apologize to the audience.
Don't
okay?
be that guy.
Yeah. He's old and senile. He won't even remember this. Okay.
Just pronounce the name properly.
Max, could you
That's all
clap
I'm
in front of
asking.
him? Make sure he remembers. Yeah. But we went and saw. But he's like a shock jock. Like he says the most outlandish whatever. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Like you know me. Like I love that stuff. Like I'm all for. Like it's like I say all the time. There's a problem when you can't joke. Like it's just everybody around me. It doesn't matter what you are. I'm probably gonna mess with you.
Right.
I mean, I'm married to a Middle Eastern girl. Like you can only imagine.
Yeah.
It's just that's. I love that nature. I love the purity of that.
It's awesome.
I
Yeah.
love the whole like where you're not walking on eggshells. Like
Yeah.
when you genuinely do love everyone, and
Right.
like, you don't feel this need to like, oh, okay,
Right.
I don't want to like. You don't feel that.
Yeah.
I want everyone to be there
Yeah.
at the end of the day. But all right, next question, final question. I think.
So is Jeselnik your favorite?
No.
Who
Yeah,
is?
who's
No,
your
we just
favorite?
I introduced Nick to him, and if you know Nick's humor, Nick loves him. That adds up. And he sends me clips all the time, and then he sends me a thing, and he's like, "Dude, we're doing LA. Let's do it." And we just bought tickets. He bought the tickets. We flew out to LA, did the whole thing. It was a good time, right? Lately, you've got Nate Bargatze or whatever, who's just crushing now. By the way, I don't need it, but I respect a person who can work clean. Like there's something
Right.
about that. You know who my favorite was growing up? Sinbad.
Oh, really?
Man, no one
Sinbad.
talks about Sinbad anymore.
Nobody talks. He was a
Yeah,
great.
he was great.
You talk to comics.
Yeah.
They understand Sinbad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was one of the greats.
Yeah.
it's sad watching him now in his current state. But like, I loved Sinbad.
Yeah.
And he was clean,
Right.
and but he was so funny.
Yeah.
Talking about people walking up McDonald's, taking their time, looking on both sides when it's the same menu. You know, like who walks into McDonald's and doesn't know their order? You know, he was the one who did the thing about the straw with the milkshake and how you're, popping your veins are popping out. You get one little taste and you're just, he was great.
Yeah,
like just
he
clean,
was awesome.
great. Loved him. I love comedians.
Yeah.
Like it's who I watch. I watch interviews with comedians. I watch comedians overall. Like I watch they're.
I saw a shift in your career, by the way. We talked about this before. I'm going to bring it up now.
Yeah,
but
I'm not sure where
there
you're
was there was a place in your speaking career
Mm-hmm.
where you intentionally made the choice to help the audience have a moment to laugh.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't become a stand-up.
Right.
You're teaching valuable
Right,
information
right,
to people.
right.
Like, they get a lot from your talk.
Right.
But you're also giving them that energy spike of
Yeah.
letting them laugh along the way. Like,
Yeah.
you're delivering a lesson in an emotional state of laughter, which
Yes.
makes it memorable.
Yes.
Like, which makes it sticky, which makes it leave an impact.
Yep, and laughter does that.
And that's, like, if we had a chart of your career,
Yeah.
that was an inflection point where
that was
things
an
changed for
inflection
you.
point of me saying I'm going to be me. Right,
Yeah.
because you go for
You drop-
years.
you
You
drop
go
the
for
suit.
you go for years. Look, I wouldn't have done a podcast going to be seen by thousands of people with a hat on backwards and whatever. Like it's that was a point in my life where I went. I had to ask myself a question, and say, would I rather make it as a fraud, or fail as myself? And you hear that and you go, oh, that's right. You'd rather be yourself. But when you're as driven as I am, fraud doesn't sound so bad. We'll have a few years of success, make some money,
Totally.
feel bad about it, and
Yeah.
then come around and be like, I don't know who that was. Well, we banked the money and do, like in my head, I'm playing that. I'm going, maybe that's what you do.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you do kind of go, look, man, I'm just gonna be me,
Yeah.
and that means that. That means, look, you're still delivering points, you're still delivering value. It's almost like that Steve Martin thing, right? Like there's so many different sides. There's serious, there's complex, there's funny, there's goofy, there's all these different things. And it was like, my God, if I could make it being me and not have to worry where I am, which one of me I'm supposed to be, how freeing would that be? And it's like, let's try this social experiment,
I think your audience just kind of sees like, hey, that dude is kind of like me.
Right.
Right? Like, I can relate to that guy.
I can hang with that dude. Like
I
he
can
said,
hang.
Shane Gillis, like, I could see that. That's
Yeah,
fun.
it's like I can hang
Yeah.
with that guy. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. There's people that I follow. There's influential people, but it's like I don't know if they're being true to themselves. Like I
Right.
don't know if you're just putting on a show to be.
By the way, I
Yeah.
know a lot of them. They're
your
not.
personality.
Authenticity is
Yeah,
electric, man.
I
We
think
hear that
authenticity
we hear that
wins.
word all the time, authenticity, and then we're met with 19 different filters to choose from before
Yeah.
we post our video.
Sure.
Yeah, totally.
And it's just like, and I'm telling you, I've met a lot of these people, and it's part of my thing when we have this conversation. Part of my decision to kind of be like, look, I'm just going to kind of be me, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
right.
It's because you do meet these people,
Yeah.
and you're so disappointed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're so just like, God, like
Yeah.
that's an act.
It's like that's not the.
You're literally playing, this is what you're supposed to say. This is what you're supposed to do. When what's funny is what actually brings your tribe is when you make jokes that you could never make on another podcast and have it be okay. Like my whole thing in doing a podcast that goes 2 and something hours, whatever, when we service entrepreneurs, the real estate industry, whatever. But I said to you guys beforehand, let's just talk, guys. Like make your jokes, do your stuff. Like let's just whatever. Like more and more, I think as time goes on, you're going to see this format for me get more and more like that. Where it's like, look, you want your 90 seconds dialed in on, blank, you've got reels over here. You want whatever, we've got our academy over here. And that's very specific to your real estate training, to your, whatever. The podcast is going to have those things mixed in. But I want to get to know the people. I want to actually, the same people that watch us here, watch Rogan, watch the guy we talked, Dax Shepard, watch Mel Robbins, they're the same people. So why when we watch a real estate or whatever, do we all of a sudden get all name badged up and, okay guys, well indubitably, and the 6% rate is going to do, and it's just like, that's not what they connect with everybody else.
Right.
So why are we doing that here?
Yeah.
Imagine the breakthrough you can have if you're speaking to those people, but doing it in the way that they're spoken to by every other person they love to follow.
Right.
Like,
So this is actually kind of interesting to explore with you, Max, right? Because you're a LA guy. You are a Californian through and through.
I am,
I
yeah.
mean, your wife's a freaking Academy Award winner. Like,
Yeah.
bam, right?
Yeah.
So, I've always believed excellence leaves clues.
Right.
Like, you don't get the result.
Yeah.
You're saying, I'm going to embrace who I am, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, great. Less great. But
I went down the
you know,
wrong road, let's find something else.
Yeah,
Right.
at least you did it, right? So, you think about that, the land of plastic, of, showbiz, where it's all smoke and mirrors and
Yeah.
it's all fake.
Yeah.
And yet, like, nobody can do that work your wife did except her. Like, you can't have ChatGPT
Yeah.
do that work and have that trail of excellence come from that.
Right.
Like, there's no app that's going to replace Jared.
Yeah,
You got to show up and do it at some point.
you do.
You got to be present. So I wonder if that's, like, do you think about that in your market where there's, all this glitz and glamour and artifice and also, real people striving behind the scenes to make it all work?
Totally. Like, from a real estate perspective, right? I think there's so many successful real estate professionals that just like aren't, like, no one really knows who they are. Like, they're kind of just local, they're niche, even though they're selling in LA. Like,
Yeah.
but they've amassed such a appreciation for the people that they work with because they're so genuine, right? Going back to you, it's like people follow you for a reason because it's like, I relate to that guy.
Yeah.
So I think whatever industry that you're in, like, you just kind of have to be yourself and you have to provide value to the people around you. Like, my wife is a visual effects producer and she's really good at her job because she's so empathetic and she really takes the time to train her staff, her team.
Yeah.
And in return, they have such an appreciation for her, right? And her workflows. And so it's like, that's just something that I think we can all take away from this
Right.
conversation, from this podcast. It's like, whatever you're trying to do in life, you really have to, first and foremost, believe in it. Like, this is what I'm passionate about, but then pour that passion into the people around you, right? Because you can get there a lot quicker with, a collective effort.
Yeah, and honestly, in a world of what you called plastic and whatever, it's like it's that much easier to stand out.
Right.
And I was wondering when you and I met, I'm like, all right, here comes this LA guy. We'll see how this is going to go. Is he going to start off and tell me his pronouns, and then we're going to, go into, am I going to be asked to wear a mask inside, and whatever. I'm like waiting for this, whatever, and then he shows up, and he's a cool guy, just chilling, making jokes, having fun. I'm like, this guy's cool as crap.
Authenticity.
This is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Authenticity
Yeah.
is like it's being comfortable with who you are,
Right.
and then inviting other people into that reality.
Yeah.
That's what authenticity is all about. And
Right.
like you were telling me the other day that you were on House Hunters,
Yeah.
right? I think of HGTV and I go, is this good for the real estate industry or not? I don't know. Like, there's so many agents who
Yeah.
got their license because they think House Hunters is real.
Yeah.
I'm going to show 3 houses.
They're like,
They're
"We'd
going
like
to
to
buy
see
one
more.
of them.
Yeah.
I've already shown you 3.
Nope, that's all you get.
You get to pick one
Make
of
a
the
choice.
choice.
3 houses. And,
Yeah.
and the consumer is like, well, I'm a full-time toaster repair person, and I train goldfish. So yeah, let's get $1 million mortgage.
I'd like a house with a swimming pool I can swim in, but not get wet. Yeah.
It seems like we as the consuming public want to be served that bite size. Oh,
Yeah.
look, it is easy. That massively complex thing. Hey, we're just looking at 3. Yeah, that one wasn't quite right. It's
Yeah.
the Goldilocks home buying process.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll just get that one in the middle. But when you were on that show,
Yeah.
I want to hear about that. Like, what was that like? Was it 3 houses or was it 30 houses?
It was it was a very strange experience. I felt very out of place, but I was working with these buyers and they applied for the show, 6 months or so before I ended up selling them the house. So they got accepted to the show, a week or 2 before they were supposed to close escrow. So they're like, "Hey Max, you get to be our real estate agent on our House Hunters episode." So
So they weren't like your people you brought to the show. This was
It
like
was
a
the opposite.
matchmaking situation.
Yeah.
They were there and they brought you in.
yes.
Oh, wow.
Now, I've heard that in many cases, the home has already been purchased.
It
And-
was. It was,
Okay,
yeah. So
all
the
right.
house, they closed escrow, and then a day or 2 later,
It's all a fraud.
We're not looking at houses at all. We bought this one. I guess that's our
Well,
challenge.
if I can see myself here, I am
Since our
conflicted.
pictures are on the wall already, I guess we'll buy this one.
Right. Yeah.
Man, I'm so conflicted. We will go home and talk. I
Yeah.
don't know if this is the one.
It's so funny. So like leading up to it, a very quick tangent, but in my head I'm like, man, House Hunters. I've seen House Hunters. Like, we're filming on Tuesday, and I bet you there's going to be a row of all of these production trucks and all of these people running around, and I get to be, on the show. This is going to be great. So that morning, I pull up to the house, and I'm like, there's a van. There's one van, and it's a guy with a camera, a guy with a boom mic,
An iPhone.
and then like a PA kind of person, right? And then me and my client. So it's a very, not to throw any shade at House Hunters, but they do so many episodes. Like it's a pretty low budget thing. So the first house was the house that they bought, but they had to act like they just saw it for the first time. So I was walking them through. I'm like, this is the kitchen, this is the bedroom, right? And they had to really say, oh, well, okay, maybe. And then the show sets up the two decoy houses. Right? So they have to act like, oh, well, maybe this one, maybe that one, and they have to really give their honest opinion. But the true magic is, for the decoy houses, they don't let them walk in the house before they start filming. So their reaction
All right.
So the
It is
reaction's
authentic.
real.
it's a genuine reaction.
So when
don't
they
have to
said, "I
rely
wish
on
we
them."
bought this one instead," that was legit.
that was legit, yes.
Gotcha.
And I'm like,
Gotcha. Boy, have we
feel like-
made a mistake.
yes.
Okay,
Is
so I
it
have
too
to
late?
ask.
Yeah, right. That's when
Like-
they use the van and they throw them in the back.
That's right.
Max, did you just violate the terms of a release or something?
I might have, yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
No,
We're getting a cease and desist.
we can edit this part out, right?
We're going to be doing max hunting. Right? Yeah. The guy's going to show up with a van and some chloroform. All right.
Different kind of hunter's experience.
He's going to get Bill Cosby.
Oh, God. All right. Final question. So we have dinner to go to.
Yeah.
Guilty pleasures. Do you guys have anything that you unreasonably spend money on, or that are just unreasonably into, or anything like that?
Cameras on both of
Interesting.
you.
I know mine immediately, by the way.
I own more guitars than I play.
Oh, well, there you go. That's what I'm looking
very
for.
cool.
That's true. But I do
didn't
play
know that.
guitar regularly.
Okay.
Right? I'm like, ooh, I really like that one. I'm going to get one of those. And then,
Yeah.
I didn't like it as much. But it
What's
looks
your
great on the
go-to?
wall, right?
What's
Your
my,
mic's on,
my
right?
go-to
It
is
is.
a Taylor acoustic.
what's
I
what?
don't
what
even know
model?
what model
Okay.
number it is.
Oh,
I don't
he's-
even know.
He's been found out as a fraud. You
No,
thought you
I
were going to
don't.
throw out the guitars. All it took was one question, and you
So-
were found as a fraud.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm the kind of guitarist who likes to play, but I'm not seeking any particular level of performance there.
Yeah.
It's about tapping into the flow.
Yeah.
I used to be an aggressive skateboarder,
Yeah.
right? Well, there's a point where you kind of age out of
What
those
board
slams.
did you have?
Please, man. Please.
What was the wood?
It's another lie.
Please.
It's another lie. Yeah.
You got to find ways to tap into the flow.
Yeah.
And actually, the one that I might be a little ashamed to mention, the guilty pleasure, is I still freaking love to play video games.
Oh, do you?
I do, man. Absolutely.
What
I
kind
do.
of video games? Because that was going to be my answer.
Is
too.
that right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
God,
So,
I'm here with children.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
hey, you know what? Listen up, parents. You should have your kids play video games.
Yep.
You should, because it's a safe place to learn to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need to learn that
Get
in life,
respawned.
you know? Seriously.
Yeah.
Like, when you're a 10-year-old and you're headshot killing people on Modern Warfare or
Yeah.
Call of Duty,
Right.
like, I mean, we all had our asses kicked by a bunch of kids out there. We know what that feels like.
I've never played.
But for me growing up, it was Atari. And
Oh, I remember
you
the
know,
Atari.
you got these like patterns in the game.
Yeah.
And the pattern isn't clear to you. Like the first time you play Space Invaders, you don't know the pattern.
Dude, you're
And
going
you
back,
die
man.
and you die and you die and you die, and then eventually
Right.
you're like, oh my God, I can play this forever. And then you win the game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
like I think there's a valuable lesson there because
Yeah, no
you
doubt,
get
man.
kicked in the teeth,
Yeah,
you die
man.
over and over and over.
First
again,
time you
don't
beat
give
Mario,
up.
the first time you beat any of those things.
Oh,
I
man, I
remember
was
those
so
times.
excited.
It's
Dude,
a triumph.
Yeah.
So I've never
So
gotten into
excited.
the Doom or the whatever these
Like,
games are you're talking about.
Yeah,
whatever.
the first-person shooters.
But I was when I was a kid though, man. I was hardcore. You guys asked last night about sports. Like I was hardcore on the Madden and the just
Yeah.
sports games. Like
Yeah.
that was my jam. Sports games.
Yeah, I played those too.
What's your
And-
game though? He asked you like what's your when you get into video games
Okay, so I'm a little nostalgic,
Okay.
right? I have a PS2 and a PS3
Wow.
that are like my working gaming rigs. And I'm replaying Fallout 3 now. I'm in the
Wow.
midst of this as
Really?
we speak, and I freaking absolutely love it.
I can get a little bit more
So-
nostalgic than you can after you finish
Okay,
what you're
all right,
saying.
but
Wow,
I mean,
it's about
Fallout
to
came
one-up
out on
you.
Prime last year, right? And I was like, oh, I can't wait for this. I had so much fun playing that game the first time.
God.
And so now I'm like, I want to dust off a PS3 and get back into playing Fallout again.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
love
saw
it,
a couple years ago when I was looking for game systems for the kids and whatever? They had like a brand new, but an old Nintendo system with all the games on there.
Preloaded, yeah.
Yeah, you play Zelda. You play only
Yep.
it's one where you don't have to blow into the cartridge or kick the side.
That was the best part.
Yeah, just
seriously,
you know,
that's the charm.
it's how
right.
about that?
The trick is
know?
you have to lick the cartridge
Oh
and
my
then put it in.
God.
That's a pro tip.
I think that was an
Yeah.
LA thing.
Yeah, that might have been an LA thing.
Yeah,
That's right.
we were not. Yeah,
But every single time,
It worked.
You know, it did work.
60% of the time it
It
works
works
every
every
time.
time. That's
Yeah,
right.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. So what's your game?
Yeah, I mean, I love N64. It's the system I grew up on.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
fist
right.
bumping back there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
GoldenEye, Mario Kart,
Wow.
Star
GoldenEye,
Star Fox.
GoldenEye.
Yeah,
Man.
like. But it's so weird. Like you asked about guilty pleasures, and I'm glad Dan went first because I'm like, damn, I don't think I have any.
By the way, I'm about to sound like a freaking adult in this room when you hear mine. But
Yeah,
go ahead.
Mr. Hat Backwards.
Yeah.
Aging boy band
Hey,
member.
now, there you go.
But
Come
like
on.
something I've been struggling with is like everyone has the ways that they decompress, and it's like
Yeah.
I just got to get away from work and turn my brain off. And like video games is a good way for me to do that
Yeah.
too. But it's like I've my whole life I've been in a professional life I've been in a sales role. So it's like if I'm not trying to call clients or build my business or do whatever, like I feel like I'm really wasting a lot of time.
Yeah.
So it's like this juxtaposition in my life where it's like, what's the balance between trying to be really efficient and really productive with your time versus like taking those couple of hours or that 30 minutes that you just kind of need to clear your mind and just have a
that.
little time to yourself.
Yeah, the older I get, the more permission I give myself to
Yeah.
like ride the wave.
Right.
There's moments you're in a trough, man. Just be in the trough.
Right.
That's fine. Like some days it's not there. That's okay. There are days when it is. So like giving yourself a little bit of grace in that trough,
Right.
and just knowing, oh, you know what? Maybe today I'm not hitting it as hard as I should. That's all right. Your body is your mind. You need a chance to recharge and come back stronger.
Guys, in a car race, if they don't stop and pit stop, the wheels fall off.
That's right.
It's part of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
think, oh, but they're going this fast. They're not gonna keep going.
Right.
You know, I always say that to people when they're talking about business. They're like, but I feel bad taking whatever. But no, you wouldn't have gone further. The
Right.
wheels are gonna fall off.
Yeah.
You gotta stop.
It's something I'm
You
learning.
gotta change the
like,
tires. You gotta
Yeah.
change the oil.
Yeah.
You gotta like take a breath. You gotta, and then you're able to go 150 again.
Right.
But if you just go 150, the wheels fall off and you get nowhere.
Yeah.
It's really that simple.
Right.
It's every car's got to sit in the garage for a little bit.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Interesting. Mine are just watches and shoes, man. It's weird.
You've got
I
a
just-
good collection.
Yeah, man. I just picked up 4 new pair of shoes. But you know what? I love them. They're like $99.
Yeah.
You know, and so like I'll just like I don't know what it is, man. I love it.
You're gonna wear them though. It's
Yeah,
not
I
like
wear
you're
them
just
all.
storing 'em.
I wear them all. And with watches, you know what it comes from? It almost comes from a poverty mindset.
Oh.
So I got into watches as an adult. Someone got me into buying a watch. I bought my first nice watch. And I'm going to tell you right now, when it comes to watches for me, if you look at my collection, I just had to get a new watch box because I ran out. Watches for me are not about the price. My favorite watches are not the most expensive ones. Watches for me, couple things, are the memory they remind me of. They're the thing that they bring me to, you know? And some of my favorite watches are like a G-Shock for $120. You know, I bought my kids a couple of G-Shocks recently as like their first watches, and I just got them different ones recently, but it's like it's the memory of what that brings you to,
Yeah, totally.
right? But watches for me, I think because I grew up poor, when you grow up poor, it doesn't matter how well you do, you always feel like something can be around the corner. You know what it feels like over here. and you know that that's always possible. You know, like people have been here, people have been here, people have been back, people have been, you know. So watches, what were cool for me, what really got me into them was not only how I felt about them, how I love them, they're an accessory. Not one of my watches has the time set on them. Not one. I don't want to wind them and do this and whatever. I use this for the time. They're an accessory, okay?
Yeah, all right.
Every
It's fashion.
single one of my watches is worth more than what I paid for it. Every single one of them. And so what's really cool about them is that I always tell myself this, even though it's never going to happen, I still do it. I'm like, if everything hit the fan, I could sell my watches and be fine.
That is so bizarre, man. You're
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
squirreling away your nuts for the winter.
Dude, it's
Your
but they're
watch
also an
catastrophe
investment.
fund.
You know, this watch I just bought in Portugal. What's cool, every time I go out of the country, I almost always buy a watch because you not only get them cheaper, but you also get a rebate on the taxes. So you could literally come back and sell it for more than what you bought it for there. So I have one of my favorite watches is a tag watch that I bought that's a titanium. It's so light you can't even feel it. But when I was in Scottsdale for our wedding, we were just walking. It happened to be like a rainy day, so we're walking around and we go into a store. And my wife doesn't help because she's like, "Ben, get the watch, babe. Buy the watch. You deserve it. Get the watch." You know. And I'm like, "You're not helping." You know, like tell me not to get it. Tell me I'm gonna get in trouble. You know. And so like I get that watch, and now it's one of my favorite watches. Not only because it's so wearable, but because it reminds me of that moment. It reminds me of that thing. So this watch. I was in, was it Mexico on vacation with the kids and everybody. And this watch was there. This is a Breitling watch. These are some of my favorite watches, Breitlings. And I'm in Mexico. It's very different. It's more of like a sport look. It's very, you can wear it up, down, whatever. And very light. And I see this watch. No, we were on Rodeo Drive.
Oh,
Rodeo
okay.
Which anywhere else would be called rodeo. But because they have to charge you through it's rodeo, you know? So we go into a watch shop, okay? And we basically just bought a watch just having lunch based on the prices of everything there. So we go into this watch shop and we see this watch. And once I put it on, I'm in trouble because now I'm just like, I want it, you know? But I held off. My wife was saying, get it. My boys, of course, are saying, get it, you know? And I'm like, I hold off. And I'm like, I'm good. Like, I don't want it. I didn't come here to buy a watch. Like, I'm good, right? So then I'm in Portugal recently. My wife and I go, and we always just kind of go down like a nice like luxury shopping. We just like to look at stuff, you know, whatever. We go in, and what's there? This watch. The one that got away. Only now it's cheaper, and it comes with a rebate, and it comes with, you know, whatever. And so every time I put this watch on now, I'm like, you won.
Yeah.
Okay, you got it cheaper than what you could have gotten it for. And as I said, man, like one of these days, things aren't going to go to crap. I'm fine, you know, whatever. But I will pass these down to my children. And my children are going to have assets worth way more that are going to remind them of their father. They're going to remind them, and they're just going to be these cool things. And so I look at it like that. I think it's,
totally.
I love them. My guilty pleasure is I buy watches.
All right.
And unlike other things that go to crap and they're worth nothing and they gain value. So I wear them all the time. I love them, and that's my guilty pleasure.
All right.
Watches. I would recommend you all get into watches.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
My TikTok feed lately has been filled with people in China at the factory saying things like, we make the guts, we ship it to Switzerland, they do the final assembly there and say made in Sweden or Switzerland or wherever the luxury good is made, right? What do you think about that?
Well, you're not going to have that with these particular types of watches because they do everything themselves. Like, for example...
Do they, though?
Yeah, of course.
Like,
that's part of what makes them so valuable. Like, for example, when you look at the titanium that is now coming out, it's not actually titanium, it's called something else, on many of the Breitling watches. It's a very specific titanium-like material that only they produce. They have a patent on that makes it. You can't do it any. It's like it's theirs. They produce it. They, you know. If the question is, would I have an issue with that?
No. The question is, like, do you believe it? The luxury manufacturers are saying that's just not the case here. Like,
I was
here's
say,
video
like,
of us
they're
in our factory.
Like, all the watches I've been, they say that's not the case. If I found out it wasn't, whatever, we're all doing it. Things are worth whatever we say they're worth, whatever we agree to.
Right.
Why is a $20 bill worth $20?
Do you have an AP?
Because we agree.
Right.
No, because we agree that it is.
An AP?
Yeah, no.
Audemars Piguet, is that how you say it?
No, I don't have one. I'm literally like all of my my most expensive watches are actually the ones I don't like as much, which are Rolexes. I have a couple just to give to my kids one day. They're my least favorite watches. Like they're the watches that like when people have them on, it's everybody knows what they are. It's like, oh, that's a Rolex.
My son's a Rolex guy.
I don't like that.
He's
I'm not into that.
Yeah.
You know, I like the idea that like if someone who knows watches saw this one, they'd be like, oh, that's a nice watch.
Oh, interesting.
Like that's
Yeah.
tell me about like where'd you
Right.
get that? Where'd you get
Yeah.
whatever? I don't like it from the perspective of like, you know, people many times once they feel they become successful or they get their first major sale, they go buy a Rolex and it's worn everywhere. And it's like, look,
Yeah.
look. I hate that.
Yeah.
Rolex is my least favorite. It's,
Interesting.
you know, they're nice, they're whatever, very heavy, but they're just not my. They're very classic, old, like you know that kind of a thing. That's kind of how they're known. Not my thing.
Next time you come down to Tampa,
Yeah.
there's an Audemars Piguet refurbishment center. I think there's 2 of them
Oh,
in the
wow.
world, and you can take a tour there.
Wow.
And
Well, that's gonna be dangerous for me.
well, you can't buy watches there.
Oh,
this
okay.
is where people ship their watches in from around the world.
Oh,
'cause,
okay.
Like once every 2 or 3 years, apparently your $40,000 watch needs to be completely rebuilt.
Yeah.
I mean, because that seems normal.
Yeah.
My Costco iWatch, by
Yes,
the way,
yes, yes.
serving me just fine. I don't
need to
you know,
defend yourself.
yeah,
Nobody's
there's
taking
no
shots
defense
at you.
here.
Okay.
There's no defense. It's just like that's the thing about a guilty pleasure is, like some people will hear the video games and the guitars and be like, yeah, don't get it.
Yeah.
Other people hear the watch thing
Yeah.
and don't get it.
Yeah.
That's why it's kind of like a guilty pleasure,
Oh.
right? So I appreciate the technology and the craftsmanship, like a handmade fine timepiece that's taking the motion of your body and turning it into energy to keep
Yeah.
the watch running. That's a cool
Yeah.
thing. That's a
Yeah.
neat thing. It's also ancient technology
Yeah.
compared to something that's measuring my
Oh, completely.
heartbeats
Oh,
and
it's
like
not-
calculating where I am on
it's not why
planet
you have
Earth
it.
at this moment.
I
Yeah,
think
it's like
set
a
the
totally
time.
different
Yeah.
thing.
Dude, I was in the middle of a conversation the other day, and these 2 guys were big into watches, and they're talking, and you see them look over to see if like you're worthy of the conversation. You know, I have on a watch my brother got me from his wedding. It's a wooden watch, probably cost him $20, and it's got like a little encryption on the inside, like a little. It's one of my favorite watches. I think it's amazing. It looks awesome. Like I love it. It's like a whatever. And I watch them with their judgment as this goes on. I'm just like, all right, guys, you're lost. Like that's fine, whatever. But they're looking at it as for like how much is that one? Oh, do you have that one or something like that? And I'm like, I just like the watches. It's like for different reasons.
Yeah.
Right.
And some are expensive and some are cheap and some are whatever. But it's really about the experience and what it meant.
Yeah.
And then I like what they look like or I like whatever. It's just a different. It's as an adult, I've started to like watches, and I justify it because I'm such a. People used to call me cheap. I've never been cheap. I don't mind spending money. I don't like wasting money. Those are 2 completely different things.
Yeah.
I don't understand people who get money and then just get so wasteful. Like it doesn't matter to show everybody. It doesn't matter. Like whatever.
Yeah.
That's just stupid.
Yeah.
This is a resource. This is a resource that many people would love to have. Everything you waste is something that you either couldn't have used for something in your life or something you couldn't have used to bless someone else. That's just dumb, So that's never, but the way that I was able to justify it in my head was I was like, they're worth more than what I paid.
Yeah.
It's like money sitting in an account. It's like, whatever, that's fine,
Yeah.
So I've always kind of, that for me checked out when I started liking watches. I'm like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I can do that.
Yeah.
Pragmatic.
Like a very pragmatic.
Totally.
It's like I can do that. That's not wasteful. Like I
Right.
can, that makes sense to me.
Right.
Anyway.
There's I got to go here,
Yep.
right? You're enjoying it now,
Mm-hmm.
right? And your hope is that at some point, way in the future, like distant future, your sons, will inherit this collection of watches that you've curated for them.
Correct.
And they'll always have some reminiscent
Yeah.
value. And so, one thing people don't teach.
By the way,
you-
that goes much deeper. But
Oh,
yes.
yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah.
But so in my life, I'm in my mid-50s. I turned 55 here very shortly.
Yeah.
Nobody tells you that, like, your parents die in your 50s.
That's right.
Right? And my wife and I, all our parents are gone now. And last year, we moved my wife's father's car collection down from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he's got a 1990 Miata with 5,000 miles on it.
God.
He's got a 1958 Morris Minor, which people are like, what's that, right? It's a super cool old car, and it had a rotisserie restoration. They took it all apart. It's like a factory new 1958 car.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
and he's got this 32 Little Deuce Coupe, a Ford Hot Rod.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
I would not choose to purchase any of those vehicles.
Right.
That was his passion.
Yeah.
Right. And yet, like, to honor his legacy, to like have a safe place to keep these cars,
Yeah.
to let his grandchildren enjoy them, to like, I mean, we wouldn't sell these cars for anything.
Yeah. So cool.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, and it's not something necessarily that we have to be jazzed up about, but
Yeah.
it's nice to have a token to remember people when they're gone.
Yeah.
And so I think that's maybe the coolest thing about this is that you're already thinking, you
Oh.
know,
Oh, dude.
there'll be a place that they get to remember you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it one step further. Do you know what I actually think it represents? Is that I think that when that day comes, no time in the near future, but when that day comes, and my kids look at them and they have them on the wrist and they, you know, whatever, it's also going to be a reminder to them of the new generation that was started. Meaning, you know, come from family of generations. It's not like people have money or people were very successful or people were, you know, whatever it is, but they know their father worked his tail off, had this, gave this to us, whatever, and it's a reminder to them of what they have to do to get the same. Right, and it's like kind of like a, hey, you can do that too. Like,
Yeah,
this
totally.
is whatever. And so for me, it's like all of it. It's just it's a really cool thing, and we've talked about this, me and them. Like they know this is what this represents. This is what, you know, and it's just like a, you know, it's a cool little.
Do you get them engraved with anything?
Some, not all.
Yeah.
Like I said, few of them are, but not all.
Tempest Fugit?
Yeah, not all. But like I said, the one I just mentioned a little bit ago, it's like a $20 watch my brother got me. That one's engraved.
Yeah.
You know. But not all, but some. But yeah, it's more just about what it says.
awesome.
Yeah. So, anyway, on that note, unless we have anything else to share, StackWrap. What is your official? Are you like CEO of StackWrap? Are you just founder of StackWrap? Like what do we?
Co-founder, yeah, founded it with with this guy named Matt, brilliant person.
Yeah.
But co-founder and CEO of StackWrap.
Okay.
Co-founder
lot
of
about.
Craft and Bauer.
Yeah.
So that's who I am. And then
So
Dan-
hopefully we'll hear a lot about StackWrap moving forward. I know my people will hear about it just because I think it's a good idea for them. Dan, our people have met you. They've seen you. They know you.
moving on.
Did you hear the sad trombone, Tom? What happened there, man?
CEO of the
our
angry
people
cricket.
know.
The melancholy cricket. Yeah, he's just It's
Oh my God.
guys, with that being said, how can people reach you guys?
For me, it's probably stackwrap.com. If you want to reach me directly, it's max@stackwrap.com. Welcome all emails, broker owner, team leaders, whoever you may be. If you just want to cry on my shoulder because it's a crazy industry, you're welcome to do that as well.
All right.
Dan, how can they reach you?
For me, go to danstewart.com.
Look at that.
danstewart.com.
Just like it sounds.
Imagine that.
Dan
Craziness.
Stewart. danstewart.com.
But I will say that you've been a huge help for me in a lot of different areas, Jared. We started this conversation today with the idea of lifestyle and identity, right? Making these shifts. I want to take a moment and thank you sincerely and stop the gut punching here for a moment. But like the world needs your voice, man. And
totally.
I'm really grateful that you've chosen to actually lean into your gifts instead of keep the suit and tie on and just put money in the bank.
Right.
You know?
Well, thank you.
Seriously.
Man. Appreciate that. All right. Well, on that note, my God, that was a very nice little ending there. So all of the jokes and the Cosbys, and then we end with that.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, guys, I hope you all enjoyed the episode. Thank you for watching. You guys hit that like, subscribe. Isn't that what the kids are saying today?
Smash that like.
Yeah, I mean, you guys play
whatever it
video
is.
games. I was kind of looking for some
No
help on
cap.
that one.
Smash the like button.
Smash that like button,
Find Jared
everybody.
wherever he
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
can
there
find
you
him all
go.
over the internet.
Anyway, love you guys to death. We'll see you soon.